Okay.
Yes, ma'am, we can start.
Yes, yes. So before I start this session, I just wanted to get the background of the students are from which year?
Madam, they are from second year, most of the students.
Okay. So good to interact with you students. So before I start this session, so I just wanted to get some idea. So student, have you heard of something like the web development? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
what do you understand by that? Everyone is
Developing
using.
web
Yes.
developing web pages using proper structured code using
Ye-
HTML.
Okay. Anyone else?
CSS.
CSS. Okay. So HTML, CSS, these are the certain things that you know. At least you know this word. Maybe you are not knowing in detail. So students, in the today's session, I'm here to give the detailed overview of how exactly can you do the web development. Okay, but here not only we will consider about the web development, we will also talk about the design thinking with respect to the web project development, which is the very important thing when you are working on this. So throughout the workshop, I will be explaining you always from the real-time project point of view. Okay. So first, I'll tell you the outline of the today's presentation. So let me share my screen first of all. Is my screen visible?
Yes, madam.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. In the today's session, the outline of the today's presentation is we will be discussing about what is design thinking. Then we will talk about the design thinking for the web-based project. Then we will consider one case study. Then we will see the tech stack which is required for the website building. Then apart from that, we will also discuss about in the tech stack. Actually, I'll be in detail. I'll be telling you how can you make use of the HTML, CSS, as you said rightly. How to build the web pages by using that. Then we will try to build one website, and finally I'll tell you how to publish that website. Okay. So throughout the session, I'm going to cover this thing. So I hope the agenda is clear to you. So before I start, I just want to make one request to Sushma ma'am. Ma'am, I may be having
Yes,
some
ma'am.
network issues. I'll have to stop my video. So I'll continue the presentation, but I'll have
Yes,
to stop
ma'am,
the
sure.
video.
No problem.
One
You
minute.
can stop.
Okay, students. We are in this session. We are talking about the design thinking and the design thinking for the web-based projects. Okay. So, uh, what exactly you mean by design thinking, and what all the things are there with respect to the design thinking? So nowadays, you know about many people are talking about the design thinking. So what exactly it is? So your design thinking is an approach to web design that focuses on the user and the needs. Now, why it is important? Okay, whenever you are developing something, always we have to make sure that whatever product we are building, the product is in line with the user's requirement. Because as you know, if somebody approaches you and asks, yeah, you develop a website, let me give you the simple example. If Sushma ma'am asks a student, you develop website for our branch. Okay, so being developer, you have to think in detail perspective, in how can I design it, and in order to make sure that whatever you are designing, it should satisfy the user's need. That is very, very important. Nowadays, the design thinking is coming in picture, and specifically of the web design. The main thing with respect to the web design is that it is not just to develop something, develop the web pages which look pretty good, but apart from that you have to get the insight from that as well. Now let me talk from the commercial aspect. Okay, let's say you have your website building firm and somebody approaches you. Okay, so the person probably want to say that I want to develop a website for my business, or there could be the two reasons. Maybe the one reason is that the many people are developing, so that person want a website for the business, or he has something at the business perspective in the mind, right? So, when you are doing design thinking specifically for the web design, we have to make sure that we just know how to consider about the need of the user. We have to understand the user perspective in detail, and at the same time, we have to make sure that how can my web design, whatever product I'm building, it's going to help the client for their business. That is the main thing. Okay, so when we talk about the design thinking, there are certain things which come in picture. The first one, what we call as an these are actually the five components which we consider here. The first one is called as the empathize, then the define, ideate, prototype, and test. Okay, so what I mean by that? Okay, when I'm saying empathize, it means that you have to get to know your users. Okay, so you are building some product and you want to understand who are the users, so you have to think from that perspective. For that you have to do the user research. I mean, you have to see how the users are interacting with the system and all those things. So you may have to talk to them, you have to observe them. So there are so many things you have to do. Then you can make use of certain digital tool for the same also. Okay, then once this process is done, you will understand that yes, who are the user, what way they are thinking, how they are, what is their approach to the system and all those things. Then once it is done, then you can define the problem. See, it is always said that rather than directly jumping to the solution, it is always better to find the exact problem. So here, in this case, we will try to define our problem, and once you have defined the problem, then you have to think how I can create the solution for that. And that comes in the ideate thing. So in that process, we try to find out the probable solutions for that. Once you have done with that, yes, you have to build a prototype. How can you build a prototype? So you can build out some small prototype or some simple versions of your potential solutions, right? And once you have developed that, you can test that, and then you can you talk to client, and then you continuously get a feedback. The important thing is that whenever you are considering this thing, always we are interacting with the client, and that is the most important thing. Because in earlier days, when we are developing the software, we follow that normal process of our software development life cycle, where you start, then you do the other related stuff. But now what is happening, you once you talk to the client, you get the requirement, then you develop and everything, whatever he has told, whatever you understood, and then suppose after a 1 year you build everything and you go to the client, and then client is saying no, this is not the one which I was expecting. Okay, so let me just show you. For example, when you are interacted with the client is saying that I want circle. For example, I'm just giving you the example. Okay, so your team has gone to that place, understood the requirement, and according to that, uh, he has tried to this thing. Your client was actually saying that he want a circle, the understanding is not done properly. Okay, and then outcome is something like this. Suppose it means that you are not able to provide what he is expecting. And when you're realizing that, when you give demo of the project, he's saying that no, I was not expecting square, this rectangle, I was expecting circle, right? So now it becomes very difficult at that stage if you have developed everything and you go back and you do this stuff. It's always better you always interact with the client. Okay. Now, so I hope this process is clear to you, students. Can I get a quick feedback in our chat box, students? So nowadays, yes. So nowadays, when we are considering about this web development, we are not just pretty much considering about our traditional approaches, but we are also making it from the design thinking point of view, so that it is required, and we make it as per the requirement, and we try to provide some business perspective to the clients, because we could have a different kind of clients. There may be something where you are just trying to uh, build some website for some NGO, or you may want for some commercial aspect also. So in all the sense, you have to make sure that you have to talk to your client, understand the requirement, and that is the most important thing. Now, students, let me tell you very clear and the important thing. Being students, we always think that the software development is coding. No, it is not just a coding. It is much beyond that. You have to gather the requirement, you have to analyze, do the analysis, you have to do the designing, then comes your coding part. Yes, coding is definitely important, but there are some other things also. Then once you have done the coding thing, once your coding is done, then you have to go to the testing phase, and then finally it goes to the deployment. So before I go in detail of all these different thing, let me just tell you some anything. The suppose you have to develop some project. Okay. So now suppose now Sushma ma'am is telling you, student, I want you to develop one website or one web application for our particular suppose IEEE branch. Now, what would be your approach, students? Can you tell me? So I'm just giving you this thing that I want something to be developed. So what would be your approach? What you will do? You can unmute yourself.
Ma'am, we can first ask about the requirements for that web application.
Okay. Yes, very good. So you will ask for the requirement. Okay. Now, as he rightly said, you have to understand the requirement. Now, I would be giving more focus on the requirement. Why? Because if the requirements are clear to you, then you can build a good product. Right? Now, always remember that whenever you are interacting with the user, whenever you are interacting with the client, it will never ever happen that you will get all the requirement at a time in advance. No, it will never happen. I'm telling you from my real time project experience point of view. For the first time, when you talk to the client will say, yes, I want a web application to be developed for my business. Okay. So he will give you some requirements, suppose A, B, C, D. Okay. Now it is the you have to ask many questions to the client, that yes, what is this the this way, is this that, do you want this? Then yes, when you ask question, then client may realize, yes, I want E also, right? So understanding the requirement is very very important. And even though you understand all the requirements, many times it happens that you gather the requirement, you have done the thing, and then when again you are interacting with the client, when they see that screens and all those things, they realize that no, this is also required. So this is happening. The intention of telling you is that the user requirement keeps on changing. Okay. And that thing we have to keep in mind, but maximum thing we are trying to make sure that yes, it is done, and we try to get the maximum requirement. However, the changes will definitely come. It will never happen that you have developed something, you give it to the client and they accept as it is. No, though they have accepted earlier, there would be changes. So understanding the requirement of the project is very very important. Now, when I'm talking about the requirement, it can be the requirement of your website development, or it can be the requirement of your proper web application development, which includes everything, right? Now let me give the example. When I was developing my admission software, I had to interact with many people. I had to interact with the administrative staff. I have to interact with the clerical staff. I have to interact with many people. So you interact with the stakeholders and try to gather the maximum information, and then you get the exact requirement from that. Okay. Yes. So as rightly said, the requirement gathering done. Then what you will do next?
Ma'am, we integrate all the requirements and make a problem statement to solve.
Okay. So you gather the requirement, and then you have to think first of all. You have gathered the requirement, you have to do the analysis. Okay, you have gathered the requirement, now you will have to do the analysis. In analysis in all aspects, I mean, you will have to see if this is a feasible, how much things are required, and all other analysis you have to do at that stage. Okay. Then next, then you will have to do the designing part. Designing means you will not directly start with your coding part. The designing, I mean, you will go with your DB design, you will go with your wireframing and all those things. Okay. And once you have done this, you will at every point of time, you will make sure that you are interacting with the client. Okay. So every time we always make sure that whatever we understood, is this the correct one? This is the always better approach in our real time projects, in order to make sure that we involve client at every stage, right? So weekly we have a meeting with the client, and every week we are trying to involve them and making sure that yes, is this the correct way, what you are expecting, is this way, is this way. So always we have to interact with the client here. So you gather the requirement, you do the analysis, you do the designing part, then you have to start with the development. Now for development, what you are going to do? So let's say you are doing the project, suppose, and you have a group of 3 students. Okay, for example, how do you decide how to do the development part? Can anyone tell me? So whenever you are building a particular web development, you will make sure that whatever technology you are using, it is fulfilling your requirement. At the same time, or whoever is your team member, they should know the technology also. That is also the important thing. So you have to decide your technology stack, and you have to start the development. Once the development is done, you have to do the testing. The testing of your website, your web application is very important, and that's the reason why in industry the testers are having much value. Okay. Why that is more important? Because whenever you develop something, developer will think from his perspective, but it is the tester who always makes sure that the things are going in a proper line. Now let me tell you, in industry, suppose one project goes live and some problem occurs, right? So the first person to lose the job would be the tester. Why? Because the tester has to do the proper testing, and that's the reason why testing is very important. Because if there is some flaws in the testing thing, then it is directly affecting the business, right? And in many cases it's very crucial. So testing, let it be your business use case or let it be a normal use case, testing of your project is very important. Even if you have a static website also, the testing is very important. Well, now that you have done testing, then comes the deployment. Okay. Now when you are talking about the deployment, you have to deploy your project, you have to go live. So for that, you have to see, where do I deploy the project, how do I publish, what database I need, and all those things, right? And then once deployment is done, the project is not over. After deployment, what is required is a support is very important. For example, you have developed the website, or you have developed the web application for your branch, right? And now after final year, when you will pass out, somebody has to be there to take care of that, to support that application. So support is also important. So when you are developing something, these are the very important things which you have to remember and understand. I hope the process is clear to you, students.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so let it be your normal website designing, your web application, or any even the mobile application also, I can say. In all the stages, this is very very important. Okay, so now having the background of this, now let us move on to the again web development thing. So I will just okay. So I have discussed here about the design thinking, and after that we discuss about how what should be your approach for the project development. Okay. Now we will try to understand certain terminologies with respect to this web development. Okay. So whenever you talk about the web development, there are certain things which comes in a picture, and these are probably the terms every one of you know this term, so I will just revise it. So internet. So what is it? Internet is nothing but the worldwide global system of interconnected computer network, or you can say that it is an information superhighway to access the information over the web. Many times the people are making the mistake in internet and world wide web. They are not same. Your internet is a information superhighway to access the information over the web. Whereas what is www or World Wide Web? It is the collection of websites or web pages which are stored in the web server and connected to the local computers to the internet. So when you have the internet, World Wide Web, there are again few things which comes in picture, which is called as a web app, web browser, URL, and DNS. You know these words, right? Because though the students are from electronics CSCC background, but at least you know this word web browser. Everyone know, right? We are using the web browsers. What are the different web browsers, students? What are the web browsers? Chrome. Everyone is using Chrome.
Yes. Yeah.
Chrome, Mozilla, Internet Explorer, right? So there are so many web browsers. Okay. So just now we talked about the internet. So as I said, internet is like connecting the computers, whereas you can consider uh, this WWS can be the connecting people. Okay. Now let us understand web app. So, what is web app? Okay, so web app is nothing but the client server application that runs in the web browser. We know what is the web browser, right? We can make use of the Chrome or the Internet Explorer, Mozilla, right? So, when I consider about the web app, web app is nothing but it is the combination of web applications, websites, web pages, or in simple language, if I want to say, web app is a client server application that runs in a web browser. Okay. So for example, as you could see here in the left hand side, sorry, as you could see here in the left hand side, so in the web browser you are opening this thing. Okay, so here one web browser is used, or you can open anything. So we can make use of the web application, which is a client server application, and that is running in the web browser. Now whenever you have to use the web app, what are the steps you follow? Okay, so now looking at the example, what you do, you open a browser application. So whatever is installed on your machine, let it be the Chrome, Firefox, or whatever. So you first open that browser, then you enter the web address in that. Okay, so you enter the, suppose you want to get something from this. So you can just open this Wikipedia. Now as soon as you send this, it means you are sending the request for a particular one, and it is trying to get the response from the server. So basically your browser will fetch the data from the server, and once it gets the response, the that response is rendered in the web page, and then you can see here that this is the content. So you open a browser, you type the URL, you try to get the content, and you display the content. Those contents are actually displayed in the web browser. Then we have something called as a web client. Okay, so as I said, web client is nothing but your web browser. And what is that? That browser is nothing but the software which need to be installed on the device to use the web applications. So as you know, you are using mobile phones, you are using laptop, you are using tablets. So in that, you are installing that particular browser. Okay, so whenever you get something, many times it is pre-installed or we have to install also. So there are different kind of browsers, like the, as I said, the Internet Explorer is there, Mozilla is there, Opera is there, so many things are there. Okay, so when I'm talking about the browser, so your browser basically make a request to your servers using the URL. Okay, so whenever you want to get the information, now tell me, whenever you want to get some information, so what do you do, students? Normally you want, you don't, suppose there is some term and you don't know, so what you normally, what you do?
We Google it.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so it means that you try to get the information. So what kind of information you get? Suppose I want to learn about, suppose, machine learning. Okay, I don't know anything about machine learning, so I just type machine learning and I'm getting some result, right? So whenever you are trying to access the thing, you may get the different kind of information, or you may expect some different kind of information. Sometimes you can get the text file, you may get the HTML file, you may get the images, you may get the PDFs, you may get the videos, and so many things, right? So you can provide this different thing. And when I'm using the browsers with URL, you can have these different things. So over here, as you could see here in the example, I can have here, if you consider this first example, this is my URL, and to this URL, this is the text file I'm getting. If this is my, I can have this entire file, I can, or else I have the image, I can, if I can have the PDF also. Okay, so you can have the PDF also, so you can get the different kind of things here. So in short, if I want to say, your computer program that can make request to the server and fetch the responses is nothing but the client. And when this program make request to the web servers, we call them as a web client. And the browser which we are using, the Google Chrome or Opera, the Mozilla, they are the web clients. Okay. Now, up to this clear, students? Any doubt
Yes,
till
ma'am.
now? Okay. Okay, so now that you understood about this thing, let us try to understand one more terminology as a domain name system. So, what is that? Okay, so domain name system is like a directory which link your domain name to your IP address of the server. Okay, so in simple language, if I want to explain this, the computer understand the numbers, right? And we being user understand the wordings. Okay, so for example, if I have something like this, some IP address, so 216.5819778, for example, so I can access the information using IP address also. But now you know that there are many websites, and it becomes very difficult to remember those things. So what we understand, we use the text. So for example, easily, as you rightly said, we Google it. So for that, what you do, you go to google.com and then you start searching. So you, if you have, you can easily remember google.com, but you cannot remember that IP address. Okay, so that domain name system plays a very important role, and what it does is, so your domain name system is like a directory which link the domain name to the IP address. It means that if this is the IP address, so this is the domain name. Okay, so your every server must have the unique IP address which client can use to connect it to the internet. So for example, you have this client and you have this server. Okay, so this client is sending the request and getting the a response. So uh, when you consider the server will have a unique IP address. Okay, the servers will have a unique IP address, and this would be used by the client. Okay, and this IP address is actually mapped to the human-friendly domain name that is easy to remember. So, for example, if I consider this, suppose or consider this, so this is the IP address. I can access by using this IP address, but in order to make it the very simple one, your IP addresses are mapped to the human friendly domain name, and because it becomes very easy to understand. So maybe I will not be able to remember this thing, but I can easily remember, yeah, Facebook, right? I'm just giving you the example, no? Then when you consider this directory structure, so this directory is actually maintained by the name servers, and the program can exchange the domain name for the register IP address by requesting the server, and that we call it an DNS look. So in simple language, you can remember this. There is some mapping of the IP addresses with the names, and that is done through the this thing. Now that you understood about this basic thing, one more important point which comes in picture here about the different kind of protocols. When I say protocol, you have a client, you have a server, your client is making request, server is sending the response. Now, in this process, we are using the protocol. Which is the protocol? Can anyone tell me? You want to search something. What do you type in a web browser?
HTTPS.
Yes, exactly. So you type HTTP, or sometimes you have a HTTPS also, right? So HTTP is your hypertext transfer protocol, which is used for client server communication, and you send the request, get a response. There is a further protocol, HTTPS, which stands for hypertext transfer protocol secure. We'll see that. There is another protocol called as an FTP, which is a file transfer protocol, and this file transfer protocol is basically used to transfer the files between computer and the server. Okay, so there are many more protocols, but I am just telling you the one which you have to understand for your website, because let for example, I am telling you to develop one website. You will develop a website, you will test it on your local server. Okay, and once it is done, you have to host your website. Now, when you host that website, you have to transfer all the file contents from your local machine to the server machine, right? So, for that, we can make use of the FTP. Okay. So, in order to use the FTP, you can use a different thing. You can make use of the File Explorer, or you can make use of the FTP client. Let us consider this simple example. This is FileZilla. FileZilla is a FTP client. Now, what is that? Once you have developed your website, then what you have to do, suppose this is your local system. On your local system, you have your folder for your website. Everything is done, testing is done, it is ready for deployment. Okay, and now I want to transfer it to the server. I want to transfer the file. So what I can have, I can make use of this FileZilla. You can install it. Okay, then you will have to specify the host name, you have to specify the username, you will have to specify the password, you will have to specify the code, and you have to click on the quick connect. And when you click on quick connect, in the right hand side you will get this remote site. So here, whatever files you have to upload, you just have to right click and say upload. The file would be uploaded on the server. Okay, and then you can test it live. So you can make use of FileZilla. Apart from FileZilla, there are some other things also called as an WinSCP. So WinSCP is again one of the way by which you can transfer from your local machine to the server machine. So there are so many things, ways by which you can transfer it. Okay, but when it comes to the stage where you have to deploy your project, you have to deploy your website. That time either you can make use of the FileZilla, or you can make use of the WinSCP. Mostly I use FileZilla, but WinSCP can also be used from the same. Okay, now apart from this, again we can have some through the whenever you buy a domain and all those things, you get a dashboard. Even through that also it is possible to provide it. Okay, so when I'm talking about this FTP, again, whatever data I'm transferring from my local machine to the server machine, that has to be the secured one, right? But when you use your normal FTP, the data is sent in a clear text format. So in order to have the more security, this SFTP is being used. Now, apart from this, as I said, as far as the web development is concerned, web application development is concerned, you need to understand about the HTTP, and you have to understand about how it works also. So we have the HTTP, that is a protocol. So as I said, your HTTP this is a browser, then there is server. So your HTTP request is sent from the client, which is a browser, and the server will send a response. So in that, again, you have this request line, HTTP headers, and other different things. Okay, now when I talk about this HTTP protocol here, there are certain things related to that. I will not go in detail of this, so I'll just tell you that this is the application layer protocol that allows your web-based applications to communicate and exchange the data. Okay, so when it is basically used to deliver the contents like your images or video, audio, and the documents also. So the computers that communicate via HTTP, they have to consider the HTTP protocol. And when I'm considering the HTTP protocol, it is the connectionless protocol. It means that after making the request, your client will disconnect from the server, and when the response is ready, it will re-establish the connection. Then HTTP is a stateless protocol because the client and server will know each other just during the current request. Then apart from this, there are some other things also, like as I said, the client sends the request and the web server will send a response. So for example, if you are searching for this thing, you send a request and you get a response. Now when I consider the HTTP messages, it would have a start line, headers, and the body. Let us consider the example. So if I consider the HTTP message, this is a request message and this is a response message. So you can have a method, this and the HTTP version, and here in response you have HTTP version and the status code. So when you let's say you want to get some information, so your request can have, suppose, the get the file path which you want and this HTTP 1.0, and then in response you will get this thing, the HTTP version and the status code. So 200 is okay, and some then 404 you have, that is a file not found. And when you consider about the HTTP, as I said, it is not providing you much security. So what is the problem? This HTTP sends the information in the clear text, and whenever you are particularly talking about the web applications, many times you have to deal with the sensitive data like your credit card information, the passwords. So you have to use the HTTPS. So what it does is it encrypt the data that is being retrieved. Okay. So normally when you work on the commercial websites, always we have to make sure that HTTPS. Even for the timing, forget about the commercial websites. Nowadays, whenever you go to any website, the first thing that we see if it is a secured one, right? So this is about this thing. And how do you use that? So in order to use the HTTPS, you have to use the SSL. So this is the SSL certificate which you will have to get. You have to pay specifically for this, and you have to install that certificate. Then you can have a HTTPS. Okay. So till now I have given you the detailed theory about this. I hope the theory is enough now. Now let us move on to the practical things first of all. Okay. But before I start that practical approach, can I get a quick feedback if it is clear to you? Students, can I get a quick feedback in a chat box also? That is okay. Okay, good. Okay, so I have given you the overview of what it is, what should be the what is design thinking for the web designing, what should be your approach for this. Then we have tried to understand the very basic things of the particular one, right? And now we are moving to the more practical approach for this. So before I start, I hope every one of you have logged in from the laptop. Okay. So now, uh, let us move on to that thing. Okay, so now first we have to start, but before that we can make sure that anything like the WAM, XAMPP or LAMP can be installed on your machine. So can you please tell me, any one of you installed this WAM?
No, ma'am.
Okay, not installed, right? Okay, so what you can do, there are two things now actually. As I will be telling you to design the static website, even if it is WAMP is not installed, that is fine, but ideally we always make sure that it is installed and we run everything on the server. Okay, so when you can install the WAMP. So I suppose I'll just open for you. So you can just go to the browser and you can just search here. So I'm just telling you the approaches. Later on also, if you want, you can install it, or now also if you want, you can do that. So you can just check out and you can type install WAMP. WAMP stands for Windows Apache MySQL PHP. Okay, so you can go to this. Okay, and then you can just click on the different options which are available here. So you can go to the site of WAMP server. Okay, and when you will go here, you go to the download section, and over here you could see the WAMP server. So here you can check for the 64-bit or 32-bit. You can check out what is the system. So you can just check out in your laptop whether you have a 64-bit or 32-bit, and whatever you have accordingly you can select that. Okay, so if you just click here, you could see this tooltip that you install this WAMP 64. You just can click on that. Okay, and you can then it would start you for this installation. Okay, so you can directly, you can download it directly also. Okay, so as soon as you click on that, this thing will start. Okay, and you have to download the latest version, so you can download that. Okay, so now the downloading is started. So side by side, can you do this, students? Any one of you can share. Okay, you cannot share. I am sharing the screen. You can follow these steps.
Ma'am, can we use VS Code?
Yeah, that but okay, you can use it for coding. This you will require, but then how you would run that? That would be editor, no?
Yes, ma'am. Then we will
VS
also
Code.
download WAM.
So for coding thing, you can do that. If WAMP is not installed, see what is WAMP actually. When you develop a website, actually, I see in order to design a web page, I can use normal HTML, right? I can create my HTML page, and even if I double click on that, I will be able to open it in the browser. But if I want the proper system to be running, so I'll have to make sure that I have installed a WAMP, or you can install the XAMPP, or if you are using Ubuntu, you can install the LAMP also, right? So those who want, you can install. Those who are facing some problem in installation, no worries. We can directly start with any editor, like she rightly said. You can use VS Code, or any, if your Sublime Text installed, you can use that. Or even if any editor is not installed, even if you open a normal notepad, still we are going to work. Okay, so don't worry about it. But those who want, you can install it. So now that once your WAMP server is installed, right, that downloaded, then you have to install that. So once it is downloaded, you will get an exe file. Just double click on that, just follow the steps, and finally that WAMP server will be installed. And once that WAMP server is installed, you just can type the WAMP server. So in the search box, you can just type WAMP and you can start that. Okay, and when you start, so once it is installed, no, so I have already installed it here, so you could start that. Okay, and you can just click on this, so your WAMP server will start. Okay, so I'm just telling you that if you want, you can install it. If it is not possible for you, that is also okay. Okay, so can I quickly came to know if are you installing, else I can start with the coding part directly. Students, anyone is trying to install?
Madam, we are having a break of 10 minutes into 15 minutes, right? So at that time, they will install it.
Okay, okay, no problem, no
Now
problem.
they know the steps, I think, right?
Okay, okay, yeah. So I already explained the
Ah,
steps. Okay?
yes, ma'am.
So the steps are
So
already
we can.
explained to you. So yes, yes, they can install it. So no worries about it. Okay. So now I'll just 1 minute. Okay, so now you got enough idea of the theory thing. Then I have also told you how to install the WAMP or XAMPP. So if you are using Windows students, you can use WAMP or XAMPP. If you are using the Linux, you can install the LAMP also. Okay. Now that you understood that how it can be developed and how it can be done, so the next thing is that now you can again move on to our practical part. But before I move on to the practical part, there are 2 to 3 things which I want to explain you. So I'll again share my presentation. So we'll just have 2 slides on that, and then I'll move on to the coding part, because it is essential to understand that thing. Okay, so when I'm talking about this thing, I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. So web development, right? So when I'm saying web development, so what is basically that? So your web development refers to building, creating, and maintaining the websites. And what it includes the aspects such as the web design, web publishing, web programming, DB management, and it is the creation of the application that works on the internet. So I divide this word web development. So what is a web? So web is nothing but it refers to the websites, web pages, or anything that works over the internet. And development is you're building that application from the scratch. Now, when I'm saying web development, so in web development, there are 2 things which are coming in picture. The first is called as front end development, and second is called as a back end development. Okay, so what is front end development? So front end development is nothing but the part of the website that user interact directly. So that we call as an front end. So we also call it as in client side of the application. Or we always say this thing. This is the front end development. This is the client side, right? So it comes in the front end development. So when I say front end development, what all the things involve? HTML, CSS, and the JavaScript. You will have a HTML, CSS, and JavaScript which you can use here. Okay, so HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Then we have a cascading style sheet to provide the better look to your web pages, and then the JavaScript playing a very important role in many aspects. Okay, so when again I consider the CSS, I can use the pure CSS. It means I can write the styling from scratch, or I can make use of the CSS frameworks like the Bootstrap, which we are going to use in the session now. Okay, so your CSS, you can have a normal CSS, or you can make use of the different framework of the CSS called as an Bootstrap, or many more are there. But the more popular is Bootstrap. Then, as far as the JavaScript is concerned, you have a JavaScript, you have a jQuery, you have different JS frameworks also. So when I consider the front end development, it is related to the front end development is basically related to your HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Then we also have a backend development. So when I say backend, it is nothing but the server side of the website. It means it is a part of a website that user cannot see and interact. Or in simple language, it is the portion of software that does not come in direct contact with user, and it is used to store or arrange the data. Let me give you a very simple example. Okay, so suppose you are building one website, and in that website you have a registration form. Okay, so how do you have a registration form? You will design your registration form. Suppose you have a first name, middle name, last name, age, mobile number, Aadhaar card number, and you submit the data, right? So you design this, you develop this by using HTML. Okay, then you want to provide styling to this. The styling you will provide by using CSS. Suppose you want to do the validation on this form, you will do that validation by using your JavaScript jQuery. This is your client side. Okay, now you have entered some detail. User have entered some detail. You want this detail to be stored in your database. So you have created a database, suppose, and in the database you have created a table as a user table. And in this user table you are going to store different things like the first name, last name, age, whatever field you are capturing. Okay, so this will not directly provide here. What is required in between, here is a backend. So what it will do actually, whatever details user have entered here, it will capture those details. It will be sent to this backend, and from this it will share with this. Normally we have a 2-3 tier architecture. It would be your client, server, and the database. So here is your backend part. And what is there in the backend? Here you can use PHP, you can use Python, you can use the other things also. You can use the C hash. Okay, so we have many applications in which we have used the front end as your normal HTML, CSS, JavaScript frameworks. The backend we have used as a PHP for some of our project. For some of our project, we have used the .NET. So specifically, I have used C Sharp for my 2 to 3 major consultancy projects. I have used the C Sharp for that. And then when we talk about the database, in the database, it is specifically talking about the storage. Like as I said, if you want to develop something, you may want to store the details. So you can have the relational database like your MySQL or MariaDB, or you can have a NoSQL also. So relational databases is what your data is stored in the row and column formats. So when you will install that WAMP server, and if you just start it and you write localhost/phpMadmin and you enter the user ID as a root and password as a root, and you click on the OK button, you will see that a dashboard where you can create the table, and you can do the lot many stuffs with that. Okay, so this is also coming in picture. So you have a front end development and you have a back end development. Now, and particularly about the storage, there can be the relational databases, or even nowadays there is a trend of NoSQL. So where you have the data stored in key value pair, and MongoDB is your another example of this. Now you have this detailed idea. Now we will move on to the HTML. So now I request everyone to at least let me know whether the editor is available with you, or at least Notepad is there with everyone, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So it would be great for the timing if you could start the video, so I came to know who all are there with whom I'm interacting, students. Just a request to everyone. Just for 2 minutes, I just want to know with whom I'm interacting. So now it is going to be interesting because we are moving to our practical thing. Just a request, just for 1 minute, students, can you please, if you want, I'll stop presenting now so that I can. Hello, students. Not possible. It's okay.
Lini, ma'am, what you said?
I was just asking them to on video just for a minute so that I will come to know with
Okay.
whom I'm interacting and whether they are all are having access to the laptop. I just
Okay.
wanted to know that.
Students, please turn on your camera so that we can see you.
Just a sec, then you can.
Yes. Everyone, please turn on your cameras.
Good. So all are using laptop, right? Okay, good. And I hope the any of the editor is available with you. Maybe you can use Notepad++. If not install, you can install it. If you can have Sublime Text, if it is there, you can use Sublime Text. I'll be using the Sublime Text here. Then even if nothing is installed, that is okay. You directly open a normal Notepad, still you will be able to run it. Okay. So thank you, student. So 1 minute, I just start now.
You can turn off your
You can
cameras.
turn off, student.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, students, for such a positive feedback. Actually, I would say, because in online session, it is very much important to know to whom we are interacting and whether they are there. Okay, so and now we will just start with the HTML thing. So, any one of you use HTML before this? Good. You have used HTML, right? So, can anyone tell me what is HTML?
Hypertext markup language.
Exactly. HTML is a hypertext markup language, and we need this for designing your web pages. Okay. Now, when I consider about this particular one, we have different tags which are involved. So what we are going to do, I will take a one simple application here, and in this application we will just try to design the CV. Okay, we will go step by step. We will first understand how to design a web page, and in that we are trying to use different HTML tags, and we will try to design our CV without any styling first. Second thing, what we will do, we will try to understand about the different things of how can you style it by using the CSS, how can you use JavaScript, and then finally we will actually develop a website. Okay, so now when I'm considering that thing, so now let me just open the Sublime Text now. One minute, let me share the screen. Can you please confirm if the code is visible to you?
Yes, it is.
Or else if you want, I can. I hope now it is very much clear, visible. Okay. Okay. So what we are going to do here, we are just trying to see how can we make use of the HTML. And as I said, we can use HTML. Specifically, I am talking about the HTML5 here. Okay. So HTML5 provides you the different tags which you can use for this. So now what I will do, I will just open another file. So parallelly you can do with me. Okay, so I open another file from scratch. If you are open whatever editor you open, so first of all, what you will do before you do the coding also, what you do, you can create one folder, and in that folder you can put all your file. Okay, so ideally when you work on the project, we have to follow a specific structure. So we will start when we will start building that website, I will show you that structure, but now also in a one folder you can store your file here. Okay, now you have to start with the HTML. So I'll be using HTML5, and in order to use HTML5, you have to make sure that you start with doc type HTML. What it tell you, it will tell you that you are using HTML5, so you can start with this. Okay, Now that you have started with your HTML, okay, now what you're going to do. So I can start. I can have here HTML. I'll complete this. Always remember you should have a start tag and you have a corresponding end tag. So everyone know we start with the HTML tag, and within the HTML we have the different sections. So what are the sections in HTML? We have a head section and we have a, what is another section? You know HTML. So which is another section?
Title.
Yes, we have a head. Main we have a two section. One is a head section and another is a body section. Okay. So parallelly we will do that, and I'll tell you what to be written within the head section. So parallelly you can work now. First we start the basic tag HTML, and always remember, as soon as you open a tag, immediately you close the tag. Okay. So first I have created this HTML. Within this you write have the head section and then you have a body section. Here for your understanding, I will just write it in a comment. Okay, so this is my head section. It is very important to write the comment, students. So first we will write the head section here. Okay, so 1 minute. So we will have a head section. In the head section, I'll be writing the related things. So what all the things that you have to do in the head section? So can anyone tell me? Someone rightly said title. Apart from that title, what else can be there?
Link
The
to the
language,
strategy.
Yes, very good. What else?
the metadata of the web page,
Yes, very good. So when you consider about the head section can have different thing. You can provide the title. Okay, so in the head section we can have a title. So I can specify the title here. Okay, so you specify the title. So suppose you can specify my first web page. Okay, so you can specify the title. Uh, you can specify the title tag here, and apart from the title tag you can have many more things. As someone rightly said, if you have written CSS from scratch, you can write the CSS. If it is the internal CSS, you can write here in the style tag. If you have created an external CSS, you have to include the path of your external CSS file within this, so that you can do in the head section. If you have written some JavaScript code, for example, if you have created a registration form, I'll tell you how to do that. And for that you have to validate that form. And for validating that form, if you have written some code in a JavaScript file, so which you have to include here, so that can be included in the head section. The other thing, if you are using some frameworks like the Bootstrap, and if you are using particularly for the content delivery network, so you can write all those links in the head section. Okay, so since here we are in the very first program here, to understand the basic of this, so I'm just considering the title, but there are many things which we are going to include here. So I will open this, and now in this I'm going to save my file. Okay, now in this I'm going to save file. So I'll give the name as test.html. So test is name of my file which I have given here. You can give any name. Now if I execute that file, so I'll tell you what to do for that. 1 minute, I'll just go to that. I have not started the WAMP server here, students. The reason is I have the IIS server installed on my machine also. That is required for my commercial project. So right now I cannot stop that server because some other things are going on. So I will be directly running this file. So now see, I have created one folder, and in this folder I have created this file as a test file. Okay, so I will just double click on this. Okay, so if I consider this, now see here, nothing is created. So we have just created a blank page. So I have this folder, and in this I have this test.html, and in the title I have written my first web page. As you could see here, I have written my first web page. So whatever I have designed, it is displayed here. Clear? Clear, students? Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we will write a body section. Now see, whatever you write in the body section would be displayed as it is on the screen. So for example, if I write here my web page, or suppose testing, just for the demo, I consider it as a testing. So if I write it, I have not provided any styling, anything, and if I execute this, testing is displayed here, right? So whatever you write in a body section, it would be displayed as it is. Okay. Now what we want to do, we want to design a CV here. Okay. Now when I consider the CV of the students, what all things would be involved in that? So suppose you want to apply for some committee, for example, and they are asking you to give your CV, or you are appearing for your final year interview, and they are asking you for the CV. How can you design that? So I'm just taking this as a case study. Why? Because you will understand the different kind of tags which you can use in this case. Okay. So now just tell me, if I am telling you how to design a CV, what kind of thing you expect that it would has to be involved? So what has to be involved? You want to design a CV.
Qualifications.
Yes, qualifications, very good. You would need an address,
Skills.
right? Name,
Photo.
address, photo. Yes, very good.
Details
Apart from
about
that,
Experiences,
extracurricular achievements.
skills,
yes, curricular achievement. Anyone else? Ran, you are saying something?
experiences and skills like internship,
Exactly. Experiences and the skills. What else?
Projects.
Contact
Projects.
information.
Yes, projects, conferences. If you have participated in some project competitions, that information. If you have done some particular courses of your NPTEL, Coursera, Udemy, whatever, you can provide the information related to that. If you are involved in some social initiatives, you can specify that. If you are done some internship, you can provide that, right? So you can provide the different kind of information in your CV. Now let us try to understand how can you provide this thing. Okay. So now for this, what we are going to do, we are going to create, first of all, I will just create one heading section here. Now in HTML you have a different heading tags, so I can have the heading tags from H1 to H6. So I will just write H1, and I will write CV here. I will just write this thing, nothing I have specified, and I will just try to execute this. Okay. So when I have written CV, this CV is displayed here. But what I want this to be displayed in the center of the page. So what do I have to do for that? I have to add the CSS. So in CSS, there are different types are there. Internal CSS, external CSS, and inline CSS. So I'm using here inline CSS. So I can write style, and what I can specify, style equal to, and I can assign text align, and I can write text align, and I want to specify it as a center. It means I want that CV to be displayed in the center. So now if I execute it, it is coming in the center. Okay. Now here I am writing it from the scratch. So in order to give you the idea of how to write from the scratch, but in our project we are going to use the bootstrap, and we'll see how to use that with the bootstrap. So we are creating the H1 tag here, and everyone has, I hope yeah, everyone has created it. You're parallelly doing, right, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes, yeah. So everyone has created this thing, and we are just have so everyone is getting the output. Student getting the output, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is the initial stage. You will get output, but still I'm just trying to confirm it. Okay. So now that you have created it. Let us try to consider about the different things related to this now. Okay, I think I stopped sharing. Sorry. Okay. Now the next thing is that you have to display your name and you have to display about different things. So what I will be doing here now. So I can make use of the paragraph tag. So you can specify the name. So you can write the paragraph tag. So you can simply start with the P tag, which stands for paragraph tag. You can write the name and you can write the name. So you can write your name. Okay. Once you have written the name, you can specify the email ID. So if you want, you can again you can specify the email ID over here. So email ID you can specify whatever is your email ID. So I have used my email ID. I will just run this file now. So I'm getting the name and my email ID displayed here. So you can use P tag or you can use any other tag which you want. Now apart from this, I also want to display the image. Now how do you display the image? In order to display the image, you will use the image tag. Okay. So you can use a tag as a image tag, and this is having the different attributes. So the first attribute is the source of the image. Then you will have a height of the image. Then you can have a width of the image. Okay. So you can specify the different attributes, and along with this, you can align that image. And there is one more attribute called as an ALT, that is followed under the alt. So now what I will do, I will just write this thing. So what I have written here, image. Okay. To create the image, I am writing IMG, then SRC. SRC stands for source of the image. So if you have your photograph, so you can copy that JPG file in this folder, and you can whatever name you have provided to your JPG file, so you can simply get that JPG file, and in that you can create it. Okay, so in my case, I will have to copy it. Actually, I have kept it in other way because for the project purpose, I will just put it now here. Okay, it's already there. I have already kept it. Okay, so you have written, you have the image created. So this image tag is having the source as an attribute. Then you have to specify the height of the image, width of the image, and alternate. What is it? If the image is not displayed, sometimes it happens that the path is not given properly or whatever. So in that case, this alternate have to be displayed. Now let us try to run this and execute this. So if I execute this thing, now see here I am facing some problem. So as the image is not displayed, I am getting this alternate text here. So now let us see what is the problem. So I am writing JPG. It is where it is. It is in a STC demo. Okay, so I will have to make sure that it's Are you able to get the image, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So earlier, what was the problem earlier? I had directly given the image name here. Okay, and that image was not available. So I have not specified any path here. Since I have not specified the path, when I was trying to run this, I was getting this. Okay, so now I checked what is the problem, and then I realized no, the path was not given properly. So I have just specified the path, and you get the image. So now if I execute it, I will get, so I'm getting the image. Now when you work on your real-time projects, all the images which are required in the project, all the images you have to store in the images folder, and from that only you have to retrieve it actually. Okay, so I hope up to this clear to everyone. So everyone has displayed the name, the image, name, and the photo. Apart from this, what all things you have to display? You have to display about your educational details, right? So how can you display that? You can display that in a tabular format. Okay, and in order to create the tabular format, can anyone tell me which tag do we have to use? In order to create the tabular format, you can use something called as a table tag. Okay, So how do I create a table tag? So before I explain you that, I'll just how to open the slide. 1 minute. I'll just open a blank slide here. Okay. So everyone know what is the table structure, right? So this is the table. You have in a table, what do you have? You have a rows and columns, isn't it? So suppose
Yes,
you
ma'am.
want to specify your educational details. Okay. So what you will have, you can specify the, suppose the, you can specify the number here, serial number. Then you can specify the qualification. Then you can specify the college or university from which you have done your qualification, and then you can specify the year of passing. Okay. Now suppose you are a second year student, so you can specify semester wise also. So you can specify about your about the 10th, then 12th, then the semester 1, semester 2. You can specify the different thing. So when I have this thing, what exactly I have? This is a table. To create this table in HTML, you have a table tag. Okay. Then in this you have a different rows. Okay. So the first is your table heading. It is represented by TH. Then this is your table data. So we have a table. Within this table, suppose these are the 4 rows. This is row 1, row 2, row 3, and row 4. Okay. So in the table tag, you have to create the TR tag to create the row. And in table row, we can have two things. It can be the table heading, which is nothing but the column names, and you will have a table data, which is the actual value. For example, qualification. So if I want to write my qualification, I can write here ME. I can write PhD pursuing. So I can specify that here. So that is my table data. Clear up to this? Now understand how can you create it. So suppose you want to create now. So now I'll just put one comment here that I'm going to start the educational qualification. So educational qualification, I will just put this thing. Now in your, whenever you are doing the coding, it is always better to write these comments, because as far as the code is of 10 lines, that is okay. But when you develop the thing, in that case the code becomes lengthy. Then we really get confused what is used for what and what, which is the which section. So as a standard practice, always try to create the sections here. So I can now create this thing. Okay. Now what you can have, so here I want to specify the educational details. So I can use the table tag here. Okay. And when I create the table tag, within the table tag, as I said, we are going to have the table row. Okay, so we can write the table row here. Okay, so what you will do, you just copy this and you paste it for 2-3 places, at least 4 records we have to create. It means that these are the 4 table rows we are having. And once you have created the table row, within that I'm going to have the table data. So when I have the table data here, so there are two things. So if I want to create a column here, I will use TH. TH stands for table heading here. Okay, so I will write TH. So suppose you have a two things here. So you can specify, suppose you specify the serial number, and you specify about the qualification. Okay, now these are the two things, and here you can specify the actual content of that. Okay, so I can write here, this is my first content, table data, TD, and second one. Okay, now in this I can specify, suppose first is a serial number 1. So I can write 1, and suppose I write B, for example. So I can write this one. Then I can just copy this, put it, I can just change this content, and I can just write ME. I can again copy it. I can put it in a third row. I can write 3. I can write PhD pursuing. Okay. So you can specify this thing. So now if I want to execute this, now see where it is and how it is displayed. So it is displayed in the left hand side. What if you want to get it in the center? And again, the border is not displayed to this. So if you want to specify the border to the table, you can specify the table border. So you can specify your style, and you can specify the border. There are different things which you can provide. So I can specify here the border radius, the whatever different things. See, you will get n number of options here. So you can specify the spacing, radius, top, image, border left, border style, color, or the normal also. So if I can write border 1px. So let us see if I am putting it, what is the reflectance. Okay, so it is not giving me the one. Can anyone tell me what is the problem? I will simply write here border equal to 1. Okay, so I'm getting the table border and I want it in the I want this the text to be aligned in this to be aligned in the center, so I can use my align attribute here. Up to this, have you done, students? Are you getting up to this? Are you getting up to this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So can you take a screenshot of this and put it in a chat box, whatever output you're getting? Just take a screenshot of whatever output you got, just put it in a chat box. I'll be waiting for you. Students? Getting the output, at least whatever you got, please add the screenshot in the chat box. Am I audible? Acha, she's saying unable to send the
Ma'am,
screenshot.
we want to.
But you are getting the output, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Just I wanted to confirm that only. Okay. So now you can create a table. Then now see here, I am not adding any styling or anything, just raw HTML. And the intention of using raw HTML is that without providing styling to that, how does your web page looks? Okay. So here we are just using normal tags and just creating a structure to understand how can we use the HTML tags, because these tags are very important. Even if you are using some frameworks or anything, the tags are not going to change you how to use it. So it is very essential to understand how can we make use of these different tags. So here it is an table tag we have created, and to the table tag I have used the border as a 1. So just one thing you have to remember, use the table tag. In the table tag you have a different rows which is represented by TR, stand for table row, and within the table row you can have either the TH called as table heading, or you can have the TD, stands for table data, right? Now that you have created a table, apart from this, what else thing you have to represent in your CV? What else things are required? You can specify about the programming languages which you know, right? You can specify that. So I can again put suppose programming languages which you know. So how can you represent it? So we have tried to use table for your educational details. So just as an example, I have just added here two things, serial number, qualification, but you can add in detail, like you can specify about the serial number, then the qualification, year of passing, the college, university, all the details you will mention. Okay. So in that case, what you have to do, just you go on adding this number of columns, and accordingly you go on adding the table data, whatever is your data. Now, what is the advantage of using tables? Tables play very important role in your real-time projects. Let me give you one example. Let's say you are building some website, and in the website, maybe for your branch only, suppose you want to display what all project students have done, and if you want to display it in a website, so you can make use of the table in that case. And this, using the table you can specify that, you can specify that thing by using the table. Now, so now that you have considered that thing, so table is clear to you. Now let us understand how can you use the ordered list and unordered list. So just to save the time, because it is all now it's almost 12 o'clock. No, we have to start with the website designing also. Ma'am, before I start, can I just quickly come to know what time you are planned for the break?
As per your wish, madam. Whenever you feel like you want a break, you can just tell us.
Okay, so I think I should finish this thing, and then after break we'll start with that actual development.
Okay, madam.
Okay, so we will have the table. So student, I hope the table tag is clear to you. Now, in order to save the time, I will just show you how can you make use of this thing. So I have already written the code. Step by step we will go, and I'll tell you how it is done. Okay, now I want to talk about the programming languages which you know. Okay, now in order to specify this thing, you can make use of something called as an unordered list. Okay, so what you have to do, you have to actually start with the unordered list tag. Okay, and within the unordered list tag, you have something called as an list item. So I'm just telling you the structure now. I have an unordered list, and within this I have something called as a list item. So I can just write list items here. Okay, so suppose I want to display about the programming languages which I know. So I can write C, C++, Java, PHP, Python, R, and so many, right? So you can just copy this, put it a number of times. So now I'm just telling you from your perspective, whatever programming languages you know. So you just copy all of them and you just put it here, and here you go on writing the thing. So you know C, you know C++, whatever languages you know. So you can specify that. Okay. So by when you execute this, you will see the unordered list. It means this content would be displayed in the form of bullets. Now by default it is taking the circle, whereas if you want, you can change that by using the type also. I'll show you that. So the one is called as unordered list. So by using this unordered list, you can create the list. Second is called as a ordered list. So when I say ordered list, it is again the same thing, only this U is replaced by O, and you can use .NET or whatever is the thing, you can write it here. So if I execute this file, and if I execute this here, as you could see here, this C, C++, Java, PHP, I have used it as an unordered list. And since I have used it as an unordered list, it is representing in the form of bullets. Whereas when I'm using this ordered list, the number is like 1, 2, 3. So when you want to use this unordered list or ordered list, whatever is there, you can use it. So by default it is taking the default type, whereas if you want, you can specify the different type here. So you can specify about you can specify about the disk, or you can specify about square. So whatever you want, you can specify the type. Okay, now the way you can specify type here, in this case, similarly, the type can be represented for the ordered list also. Now, as you could see, when I have not specified anything, it has taken the ordered list, and by default, 1, 2, 3, 4 number was displayed. But sometimes you don't want a 1, 2, 3, 4 to be displayed. Rather, you want ABCD to be displayed, or sometimes you want some Roman number to be displayed for that. So in that case, you can specify it by using this type attribute. So you can specify the this Roman number or whatever is there. You can specify the type. So this is how you can reuse the ordered list and unordered list. Apart from the ordered list and unordered list, there are many other things which is required. So as we are discussing about the CV, we have tried to use the normal heading tag. We have tried to use the image tag. We have tried to use the ordered list, unordered list. We have tried to use the image tag. We have tried to use the table tag. So I hope these tags are clear to you, students.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now that you understood this basic tags, let us add some more tags to this. So table we already have created. Okay. Now the one more and the very important tag which is required. Sorry, that is the heading. Sorry, reference tag. Okay. Now you can create a reference. It means when you click on something, you want a particular web page to open. If you consider your CV example, if you can have some link like connect with me. So here you can give a link to your social media handle, right? So you can specify a link, and when user click on that, you can specify this particular link. Okay, so these are the basic tags which we can use for designing the web pages. They are definitely required. But apart from this also, there are many more different tags which are involved and which we can use. The main intention of including this tag is that whenever you are designing the website, they are definitely required. Okay, now let me tell you we have seen this basic. Now let me tell you in real time projects where these tags are required. Okay, see, understanding the programming language, understanding how to do the coding is one thing, and the usage of that in the real time project is very important. Now, let me tell you, students, very clearly that if you learn any language, maybe in the first year you might have learned, I guess SPA was there for you, right? You might have learned the C programming language, right? Yes or
Yes,
no?
ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
So you all learned C, and maybe now you must be having the Java, I guess. So if you are learning the Java or any other programming language or anything, it is will come in actual understanding only when you work on the project. So now here I am telling you, you can use the table tag, but in real time project, where to use that, that is the most important thing, right? So now let me tell you one by one. Okay, so here I am taking the image tag. Now where can I use the image tag? Now let us consider you are developing one web application for the e-commerce website. Now in that website you have to display the different products. Okay, so you can make use of this different product, and in order to display this product images, you will have to use the image tag. Okay, second thing, you can in your website you may want to display some images, so you can make use of the image tag. Second, table tag. Here for our simple practical purpose, we have tried to use table tag in order to display our educational details. In your real-time projects, we can make use of this table tag at n places. Let me give you very simple and the very realistic example. We have one of the project, and for that project I have to display the different products. Okay, so in order to display that product, I can product listing actually, and this product is having the n number of attributes. So for example, if I'm talking about a product, I have a product ID, I have a product name, I have a description of the product, I have a specification of that product, I can have the manufacturing date, the expiry date, the quantity available, the image of that product, and so many things. So you can display it in a tabular format. And again, when you work on the real-time projects, along with that, many times you have to update the product or you have to do some stuff. So you can provide different buttons in that also. So these table tags play very important role. And one more point which coming in hand with this, whenever you are displaying something specifically for your projects, so many times the client requirement is that whatever data you are displaying, they want that data to be in Excel format, and that they want that data to be in a PDF format also, because they want to use it. So there are different plugins available. Even you can make use of those plugins. You have a data tables available, you can make use of that. and then you can use it also. So whatever you are learning, it has a great impact in your real-time projects. Okay, so this is my table. I hope the table is clear to you all students. So you just have to concentrate the structure, you have to remember row, and within that you have a data. So now I can use this table to display it, or suppose I want to create a registration form. So in that I'll be having the text and the corresponding what I can say, the corresponding text field. So I can specify here first name, and I can write the code which is required to create the text field. Similarly, I can create the another one. I can create this table data, and accordingly I can have it. Okay, so you can make use of this different HTML tags to create it. So this is the basic thing. Apart from this, in the HTML, you can also make use of the frequent tag which is required, that is called as the division tag, which is represented by div tag. If you want to create it, suppose, so I can simply write here div tag. I can create it like this, and I can end my div tag here. And then whenever you're talking about this HTML elements, okay, so you have to provide the ID to that. So what is that ID? That ID will uniquely identify that particular tag in your web page, and that is the most important thing, because in the project you have to many times work with that. So ID plays very important role. So this is how you can create a normal CV. So, and then along with this, you can make use of the different HTML tags, like you have a header tag, you have a footer tag, then you can make use of the other related tags which are available with this HTML5. So you can make use of those. You can use article tag, you can use a section tag, and so many things are there. Okay, so this is how actually you can make use of the basic HTML tags to create a static web page. So now, as you could see here, whatever page we have designed here, we have just created a raw structure here, just structure. I have not provided any styling to this or nothing. And now you can see only HTML is not going to help us to provide the better look and feel. What HTML will do, it will just create a structure for you, but you have to provide the proper styling to that. And how can you do that? By using the CSS, or you can use the certain frameworks like the Bootstrap for this. But before I move on to the next part, is it clear to you students? Can I get a quick feedback? Everyone has created this at least?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now that I have told you how to create a web page, now frequently in your web applications, when you are building the web applications, you will have to design the forms also. Okay, so I just want to know, do you have a Java programming now, as you are a second year students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so definitely you will have to do the projects. Is it there in the curriculum? I don't know what is there now actually.
Yes, ma'am. We have Java projects.
Yes, you have a Java project. So what are you planning to do in that? Maybe you have decided the topic. Yes, Arpita?
Group decided to make a Pong game using
Okay,
Java.
okay. So apart from that also, you can work on many more other projects, like you can develop the mobile applications also. For example, when you have to develop a native mobile application, you can make use of the Java for this coding part. Your screens can be designed with the XML, but the coding can be done with the Java. So you can develop such kind of applications for your this thing, for your Java application also. Okay, so the intention of telling you is that you have to make sure that when you are developing the project, many times you have to develop certain forms. Okay, let's say I'm asking you to design one web application where you are providing the details of a customers. Okay, so you have to design the forms there. So in the mobile application, you develop it with your XML or whatever thing. But if you are developing something as a web application, you have to design the forms also. Okay, so now let us understand how can you create the forms. Here I am talking about the web application here. So now let's say you have to create a registration form. Okay, now you can open the another file now, and in that another file I am going to create the registration form. So first I will execute whatever I have designed for you first, and then I'll tell you how to do that. I will just double click on this. I have not started my WAMP server. I'm just now see this. As you could see here, everyone can see this.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is again a registration form which I have created by using the HTML, pure HTML. Nothing, no styling is provided to this. Okay. So as you could see here, whenever you talk about the forms can be in different ways. When you have a websites, even we also go through many websites. So they ask us to register, they ask us to log in, they ask us to, they provide us the contact form, right? So designing the forms is an essential thing when you are talking about the web development. And now in that case, what you have to do is you have to understand what all the different controls are there which are available, and how can I use these controls. Now here again, when designing this form, I haven't used any framework or anything. So as you could see, without providing styling, your form doesn't look much good, right? But when you provide styling to this form by using your fancy frameworks like your Bootstrap and all those things, these forms look very pretty. Okay, but let us understand how can you create it. So what is the use of form, students? You have to design, that is okay, but why do you have to design the forms?
To store data.
Yes, to store the data. Yes, exactly. So let's say you are designing one admission system, for example, and there are many students who are filling the admission form for your college, for example. So you have to store the details of all the students. Or suppose you are a second year student, you are taking the admission, so your details has to be captured, it has to be stored in a database. So there has to be some provision by which I capture the input from user and I store it in a database. Okay, so I'll tell you one real-time case. We have created different registration forms where the students can register. They can fill the admission form. Then we store that admission form content in our database, and then we can perform the different admission process through that. If we are talking about the examination, yes, you can do the different thing related to the examination stuff, starting from the getting student admitted, getting the forms till your result generation, all those things can be done. If you are talking about the e-commerce systems, you can have the different forms where you provide the details wherein user can enter the different details of the product and so many things. So the forms are very important to capture the user input. But when you are saying you have to capture the user input, you have to make sure that the input is in correct format also. But how to check that? That is a JavaScript part. I'm here telling you how to create a form. So as you could see here, in this case, you could see here I have created some text field. So here I have the first name, last name, password, retype password, email address, mobile number, then your residential address. Then you can check for the gender. You can check for the hobbies, which is given here in the form of checkbox. You can have a date of birth, so you can create the control like this. You can create a drop down list to select the country. You can upload the photograph, so you can use the file input control from that. So in your form you can create n number of input controls, and that is totally depending upon your requirement, what you want to capture from the user. For example, in this case, just I wanted to explain you the different kind of input controls. So intentionally, I have included everything. Sometimes you may have a web application where you want user to register. So what you can ask? You can ask user for the email address. You can ask user for the mobile number. Okay, and when user enters that mobile number, you may send the OTP to that mobile number to validate that. And then in the next screen you ask user to enter that OTP, and once user has entered that OTP and agreed to your terms and condition, you can ask user to move further. So there are so many things which are coming in picture. So let us understand how do we create it. Okay, so now in order to save the time, I have already written the code, so I will just step by step I will just get that code and explain how it is done. Okay, So just to save the time, I'll just copy this HTML part and this thing at least. So I'll first copy everything, delete it, and then as per my requirement, I will just change it. Okay. Okay, students. So as you could see here, is this the same one which we have created in the previous case? If you see this code, is this the same thing when you have created from scratch? That time also we have created this thing, right? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
And what do I have to do now? I have to put my registration form over here. So for that, what I have to do is I have to use something called as an form tag. Okay. So how do I do that? So I will just, for your understanding, I will just remove this other part now. Else will. Okay. First, I will have to create the form tag. Okay. Now, when I'm creating form tag, this form tag is having the two attributes. One is called as a method, second is called as an action. The method can be get or post method and action. Now here you have to specify that file. So as I was talking about the front end and back end. So in the front end, you'll be having this HTML file. You will create a registration form. User will enter the details, and whatever details are entered by the user, you will pass it to your PHP file from the backend, and then further this PHP file will store that data in the database. Okay, so if you have not created it, so you can just put a hash here. Okay, so you create a form, and within the form you can create the different controls. Now that I have this form created, I want this thing to be displayed in a proper table structure. Okay, and just now I told you how to create the table. So see, if you could see here, this is one table. Within the table, this is my row, first row, second row, third, fourth, and so on. And in the first TD here, I have enter your first name, and in second TD, I am creating the text field. Similarly for second, third, and so on. Okay, so now I will have to create a table, and in each of the TD, I am going to store that. So now just 1 minute. Okay, so one by one I will do that now. So first I'll just take the table. We can use the table tag here. So now you know how to create a table tag. So you start the table tag and you complete the table tag first. Okay, so the form can be designed without this also, but just to give the proper structure, I am using it. So you can use the table tag here. So you can write border equal to 1. You can align that table to the center. You can specify the width of that. You can specify the background color of that. So here you can specify the background color, and then you can specify the caption to that. Okay, so now if I execute only this part, sorry, this was the another file name I used. It is reg file. Sorry, it is reg file.html. I'll open that this one. Okay, so see, we have just created the registration form. Okay, so this is the caption, and to table we have not provided any data. We have nothing given, so this is displayed like this. Now we are one by one, we are going to add the content to that. Okay, so now this is the table, and within this, what I'm going to have, I'm going to have the table row first. So how will I use the table row? I will just, to save the time, I will just copy this table row first. Okay, so within the table, I have the table row. So you can write enter your first name. So this is the table row. Within this, I have a TD, and this is my second TD. In the first table data, I'm writing enter your first name. Okay, so this is the normal text, and then I want to create the input text. So how can I create that? in order to create the text field, I can write input type equal to text, then name, you can specify the name attribute, you can specify the ID to that text field, you can specify the maximum length, you can specify the placeholder, and your HTML5 also provides you something for validation, so you can use the required here. So if I execute this, and so let us see, now I have created enter first name and enter your first name. Now whenever you are creating the text field or anything, always make sure to put the proper constraint on this. Okay, so let's say here this is the first name, you can provide some length to that. If it is a mobile number, you have to restrict user for the 10 digit only. Okay, so always whenever you are designing, always think from the user point of view. User, sometimes maybe there are the technical people, but still sometimes they operate in a different way. Also always remember, whoever is going to use your system is a layman, and you from that perspective you have to design it. Always keep your target audience in mind. Let me give one example. For one of our project, farmers are the audience, so we have to think, yes, I have to think from that perspective, and accordingly I have to design the screens. So always make sure that who is your target audience, and based on that you design the thing. Okay, then you created the first name. Up to this you have created, students? Up to this done? Done up to the students?
No, ma'am.
Doing it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. What about others?
No, ma'am.
Okay, okay. At least can anyone share the screenshot in a chat box? Are you facing any problem?
Ma'am, I'm not able to share screenshot in the chat box.
Okay, anyone else? Is it the chat box is disabled? No, I guess no.
No, it's not disabled. It is maybe they can share the screen if they want.
Okay, I stop presenting. Anyone can share the screen. I'll stop presenting. I have stopped sharing. You can start.
Yes, Livia, can you share your screen if you have done?
Ma'am, I'm still doing.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. It's okay. Even if not, just share the screen. Just let me see if you are on the right track.
Ma'am, I have done the previous one web page.
Okay, share the screen. No problem. Whatever is ready, no, just share it. So I just want to understand whether you are getting it or not. Students, am I going fast?
Ma'am, this is what I've done.
Yes, good, very good. So you know now how to use the basic structure and how to use the tags. Very good, very good. Anyone else? Anyone else can share the screen?
And I'll show the first one.
Yes, yes. Good to see that you all are performing. Yes, very good. Good. Okay, you are using editor of W3 school. That is also okay, no problem.
Yes, ma'am.
No problem, no problem. If nothing is there, you can use that also. Anyone else?
Ma'am, should I show the first
Yes,
one?
yes, yes, yes. Please. Okay. Good, very good. Okay, so now we are talking about the registration form. I'll again share my screen now.
Madam, is it possible for you to copy the part of the code and share it in the chat box so that students can also
Okay, okay,
pick up the
okay, okay,
space?
okay. Yeah. I'll do that. I'll do that.
So,
I'll do that.
because maybe the time takes them to
Yeah.
type
For
it.
typing, it would take time. No, 1 minute.
Yeah. So that you can not all.
Yes, yes.
Okay. ठीक है.
At least as and when, okay, so step by step I can whatever I'm putting here, I can same thing.
Yeah.
So I can put it here. So at
Uh-huh.
least for this first table I'll put it, so they can just accordingly change it,
Okay.
because typing again takes time, no?
Ma'am, can you
Yeah.
share the previous photo?
Yes, yes. 1 minute, 1 minute. You want the previous one? I will be sharing all this code with madam also later on, so don't worry about it. So I did this also, so you can practice it. Clear?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Now let us move on to the next part of this one. So we are creating the table here. So first we have created this first text field. Now we will create a second text field. So we'll have a last name. So the same code you will use. Then you will use a password and confirm password. So I will write the table row. Then second is the enter last name. In order to create the text field, you will have to use input type text. Then you can specify the name, ID. Then again, the maximum length, placeholder. Now students always make sure that whenever you are giving ID to your input controls, always provide ID in a such a way that it provides you for what purpose you are using that. For example, this is the last name and I'm using this text field for the last name, so I'll use L name. Okay, because you can give ID as XYZ, PQR, ABC, anything, but then it would not tell you for what purpose you are using it. And the importance of this ID name is there when you work on the real-time projects, because you really have to understand for what purpose I have used what. So for example, in this case I have a 2 to 3 fields. That is okay, but in real-time projects many times you have a form which has almost 25 fields, and if you give them IDs like XYZ, PQR, it becomes very difficult to know that. So always try to make sure that you provide it in a proper way. So I have added the last name. Then you want to enter the password, so you can again use input type. Here you can use the input type as a password. So when you're using the password field, HTML has provided this, HTML5 has provided this password, so you can use input type as a password, and then again re-enter password. So as soon as you use that, as soon as you use that thing, immediately you can see the effect. So first name, last name, password, confirm password, and as soon as I type something, by default it will take it in that particular format. So you can have the user password and the confirm password. Now once you have created the password, confirm password, the next thing what you have to do is you will have to add the email ID. And in order to add the email ID, you will have to use something called as an input type email. This is again not text field, but HTML5 has provided you this thing that you can make use of the input type as email. The advantage of using this is that you need not have to validate that. It will directly take it as an attribute with the email. So, but if you specify here the input type as a text for email, then explicitly you have to validate for that email address if user has entered the correct email address or not. Okay, so you will specify that input type as a email. Then you specify the mobile number. So you can take the mobile number, you can take the address after that. So I'm taking this mobile number. So for every time I'm creating one row, and in that I have this thing. So I'm creating the enter mobile number, and for the mobile number I'm taking here type as number, or you can have some other also. Then you want to create an address. When you want to create an address, you can make use of something called as a text area, because text field is not going to help you. And if you want to create the text area, the general syntax is you use the text area, you can create the rows and you can create the columns here. Okay, so row will specify how many number of rows you are using, and columns will specify the number of columns. So if I execute this thing, you could see here, these are the things added: email ID, mobile number, and this is the text area. So you could see the difference between text field and text area here. Now that you have created the text area, the next thing what you need is you have to create a drop down list. And how do you, sorry, before that drop down list, you have to create a radio button. How can you do that? To create the radio button, you can simply write input type as radio. You can specify the name, you can specify the ID, and you can specify the value to that. So you can specify input type as radio, the name, ID, and the corresponding value. And if I execute this, I will get the output like, I can see the radio button created here. So radio button is what? You can select any of that, either male or female, you can select that. So that is called as a radio button. Apart from radio button, you may want to get something called as an checkbox. Specifically, you are talking about the hobbies. So I can write here. So how do you create the checkbox? In order to create the checkbox, you can use the input type as a checkbox. Okay, and you can specify the value to that. Now, what is that name and what is value? The one which you are displaying here, that is the one you can specify. Whereas this is nothing but in backend, when you are passing it to your PHP form or whatever other thing you are using, so this value will be taken. So if I now execute this, this, as you could see, the checkbox can be added. And what is checkbox? Here you can select more than one option. You can have two hobbies: dancing, singing can be a hobby. So you can select more than one. That is called as a checkbox here. And how do you create the checkbox? You can create the checkbox simply by making use of the input type as a checkbox. Apart from the checkbox, you can create the drop down list. You can create the other thing also. So let's say you want to create a drop down list. Okay, so if you want to create a drop down list, how can you create that? You can create a drop down list simply by using the select. So this is the main thing which you have to remember. If I want to create a drop down list, first I will have to write select, then I have to specify the name. Okay, now let me show you, because this is very important for you. So I can write select. Suppose I want to have for the branch. Okay, so what I can do is, I can create it. Then you select, okay, to create the drop down list. And then to this you can specify some name if you want. So I can write the department here, suppose DEPT. And now within this I have to specify about the different options. Okay, so for example, if you want to specify about the branch, okay, so I can have the different options here. Okay, so what kind of options I can have here? So I can specify that option, and that option is having the two things. The one is called as a value, okay, and then the actual name. So suppose I write select department. So select department is what? The one which user can see. Okay. And value is what? For select department, I can use value as a zero value. Similarly, I can add the other elements now. Okay. So for example, to this drop down list, you have a different department, suppose in your college. So you suppose you have a computer department. So you can write here computer engineering. Okay, so when you are saying computer engineering, this is the value which user can see, and this is the value which you pass in backend. Okay, so for example, from the drop down list, if user select computer engineering, so you will pass this value. Similarly, suppose you have other departments. I don't know what all departments are there, so I'm just giving you the example. So if you have a IT department, for example, you can use the value as 2. If suppose you have a AIDS department, so you can use a value as 3. Here you can write AIDS. Okay, and so on. So whatever options are there, you can specify the options. Okay, now, so here we are, suppose you have a XCC department, so you can specify that. So this is the most important thing. And what I did is I directly have added this thing. And in our case, each thing we are putting in one table row. But this is how you can create this thing. So now let's suppose I create it. Structure would be changed, but I'm just telling you how it can be done. So see here, I have added the department here. Okay, so select department. And here see computer engineering, IT, AIDS, EXTC. So these are the these. Now when you work on the real-time projects, we never keep these values as a static. We always have to make sure that these values are coming from the database. Why? Suppose today you have three departments. Okay. So you will put it as static, suppose, but what later on, suppose the number of departments are increasing, then again you have to go to the code, again you have to change. Rather than that, what we do, we maintain everything from backend. So you have a table maintained in a database as a department table. As soon as you make one entry in that table, immediately whatever number of departments are available will be populated here. But here I'm telling you how it can be done statically, but in the project you get it from the database and you have to populate it accordingly. And then you can select the country. Apart from this, the very important thing which is required again, that is nothing but what you can call it as a file upload. Very, very important again. So how can you use the file upload here? So I'll just tell you. Sorry, before file upload, one more important thing I forget to tell you about the date. Date is very important in anything. So you can just add here as a date. So how can you create a date? So you can use the input type as a date here. So you use input type as a date and you just can select it. So if I execute it, okay. So directly, if you use input type date, you can select the date from this. So you can select whatever is the date. Then the most important thing again required or the frequently required is the file type. You have to include the file type. In our example, you may want to upload the photograph of the user, or in real-time project, many times you have to upload the products. So in that case, you can make use of the file type. So if I execute again this, as you could see, this file type is added here. And if I click on this, you can select any file from the whatever is there. You can just select that file and accordingly you can that file would be given. Again, you have to put many restrictions that a file you can accept the file type of the PDF, you can accept the file type of a JPEG file, PNG file, or whatever. And then finally you have to create a button which is a submit button. So you can simply create the submit button here. So you just copy this thing. Okay, so you can simply create the submit button and the reset button you are creating. And when you click on this, as you could see here, these are the two things which you can have here: save button and reset button. Okay, so this is the clickable one. So I hope how to create the registration form is clear to you, students. Is it clear or any doubt? Is it clear, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I have added the code in the chat box also. So one by one, you can practice that. The most important thing you have to remember when you are creating the registration form or any form, you use the form tag. To the form tag, you use the method and the corresponding action file. Then you can create the input control. To create the text field, you can use the input type as a text. To create the radio button, you can use the input type as a radio. To create the checkbox, you can use the input type as a checkbox. To create the password, you can use the input type as a password. To create the date field, you can use the input type as a date. To upload a file, you use the input type as a file. To create the drop down list, you use the select and the options. So you can make use of this thing. And this is how you create a structure. You create, let it be your form or let it be your normal web page, you can create this thing. So I hope this basic of HTML, which is considered as one of the very important thing in your front end development, is clear to you. Clear, students?
Yes, Sudha. Any doubts you're having?
Any doubt?
No,
Because
ma'am.
it is very important to understand this thing. Once this is clear, then designing becomes very easy. But this part has to be clear to you.
Ma'am, could you just put the entire code in the chat box?
Yes, yes, yes. 1 minute, I'll just copy this entire thing and I'll put it so that you can check. Added.
I think the complete code doesn't get pasted in the chat box.
Okay. So how do I share it? One
Need,
minute. I'll take a screenshot of this 1 minute.
yeah.
The screenshot is not getting pasted yet.
Madam, can you share? You can put it in your drive folder, and you can share that link with the students. I can.
Yes. 1 minute. I'll do that 1 minute.
Okay, and then we can have a break of 10 to 15 minutes, and then we can.
Yes. So by the time at least they can check out if they want.
Yeah. And students, you don't have to leave the meeting, right? You have to be here only, and if you can take a break.
After this, immediately we will start with the bootstrap.
Yeah.
Let me upload this. I'll upload both the files.
Yes, madam.
Because since they are second year students, it is very essential to make them understand.
Yes, madam.
So this file I have created in front of me. Okay, I'll put all the files better. Again, that will be a problem. Wait. Two files I'll put. Ma'am, can I get email ID is there? 1 minute I'll get. Which email ID, ma'am? This one.
Madam, you can. I'll write down the.
You just put your email ID in a chat box. So
Yes,
I'll just share with that. You share with students. I'm sharing this. Okay. And this registration form also I'm sharing.
Yes, ma'am.
So you can share with the student.
Yes, ma'am.
So we'll take a break of 10 minutes now.
Okay, ma'am. We'll take a break of 10 minutes and then we'll join at 1.
Yeah. Till what time I have a time, madam?
1:15 you can join, madam.
No. The session ending time.
Madam, how much time you require to complete it?
You're scheduled till 1:30, I guess, no? 1:30 or 1:45.
Yes.
Yeah,
ma'am.
I'll end up by that.
Okay. So if you want some more information that you have to give it to students, that it's up to you.
Okay. But students are ready. Students, are you getting it? What I am teaching?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I'll just get back in 5 minutes. Not I'll take a 10 minutes. Just 5 minutes. I'll take a break.
And students, don't leave the meeting. You have to be in the meeting only. Okay. Just check whether you can access this link.
No, ma'am. Ma'am, we can't access it.
Okay. Okay, it is restricted, I think. Now check. Can you check?
Yes, ma'am, it's accessible.
It is okay. Restricted. This is the second link. Just check whether you can open it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Jaden, are you not able to open the link? Is it not accessible? Jaden?
No, ma'am, I can access it.
Okay. No? Okay. So I have seen that you have sent request to madam. Now that's what I asked. Okay.
Ma'am, we can't hear you.
It's a break, yeah. Wait a minute. It's not yet started, I think. Okay.
Okay, okay, ma'am, sorry.
Can we start?
Yes, madam, we can start.
Okay. Okay. So students, we were discussing about, we have seen exactly how can we create the HTML pages. We have seen how to create the forms. And now whatever we have designed, it is just a raw structure, right? Which you have created using the HTML. But now what is required in, as you could see the different websites, the different fancy websites which are available on net nowadays. So we have to develop according to that, right? So just HTML is not going to help you for that. You need to use something called as an CSS, and CSS stands for cascading style sheets. So when I'm talking about the cascading style sheets over here, in this case what is important is you are providing styling to the pages. Like as you have seen, now we just have created a CV or we have created a registration form, and we have not provided the proper styling to that, so the page doesn't look good, right? So in order to create this thing, there are two ways. Either you can use the CSS. So CSS you can use from scratch, or you can make use of the CSS3, or you can make use of some frameworks. So it is always better to use some standard frameworks which are available. So now I will just share my screen. I'll show you how can you make use of this different frameworks. So one of the framework which you can use for this is called as an Bootstrap. Okay, so now I'll open my Sublime Text and one by one I'll tell you actually. So what is Bootstrap? Bootstrap is basically the framework which you can use. Okay, so I'll just share if it is for a time being. 1 minute. Okay. So if I consider about the Bootstrap framework, so the Bootstrap is a framework which okay. So what is a Bootstrap basically? So Bootstrap is a framework. So whenever you are designing any website, it is always better that the website which you are designing, it is according to the different devices, because nowadays everyone is using cell phones and we want everything to be done through that. So whatever websites you are designing, it has to be in line with adjustable to the different screen width and all those things, right? So we have something called as an Bootstrap, which is one of the free front-end framework, which is used for faster and easier web development. So why do we have to use Bootstrap? It provides us the responsive design. So your responsive design is nothing but creating the different websites which automatically adjust themselves to look good on the different devices. Maybe the large desktops or maybe the small phones. Yes, browser supports, it's open source and it is very easy to get started. So for example, as you could see, you can have a different devices and you can use it. Okay, so the natural question arises here, how do I use the Bootstrap? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when you are using the Bootstrap, so there are, as I said, in order to use the Bootstrap framework, the first thing is that you have to get that Bootstrap environment. Okay, so there are again two things in that. You can directly download the Bootstrap from the official site. So you can go to this official site of getbootstrap.com. So if I click here, so I'll directly redirect it to the Bootstrap. There are different versions of the Bootstrap actually. So whichever is the latest version, you can download that from this, and then once you have downloaded, you can use that. That is one thing. So you can download the Bootstrap version, and once you have downloaded it, you just have to unzip that file, and when you unzip that file, you will get two folders in that. One is a CSS folder, another is a JS folder. Okay, so you have to copy those two files and you put it in your project folder. This is the one way. Second way is that you use the CDN. So what is that? So if you are creating, if you want to get the Bootstrap, you download it, you put it in a folder, and from that you include the respective CSS file in your HTML code. This is one way of using it, and there is an another way of creating, or the another way of using is using the CDN, which stands for Content Delivery Network. So you can directly copy that path of CDN and you put it in your code. So directly you are getting it. Both of them have their own advantages, but I would always prefer to use the CDN because you always get the recent code from that. Okay, so you can create, there are different versions of Bootstrap. So here I'll be talking about Bootstrap 4. We do have the Bootstrap 5 as well. So when I'm talking about the Bootstrap 4, so what is required is you can create your website which are adjustable to the different screens. So here, if you want to create that, you can add your normal HTML5 doc type, and we have to make sure that the website which you are building it adjustable to the different screen size and all those things. So you have to make use of the meta tag. So you specify the viewport, you specify this width, device width. It means it would be adjusted to the different screen size, maybe the mobile phone, tablets, and all those things. And apart from that, in HTML we have the different things. We have a container, we have a different container class and all those things. So we can directly make use of this one. Now let me give you very simple example. Just now we have created a table, and when you have created a table, we have not provided any styling to that table, right? And if you want to provide styling to that table, so what you have to do, you have to use the CSS for that. Okay, so when you are using CSS for that, in that case what is required, when you are using CSS from scratch, you have to write the code. But in Bootstrap, what is there, you have the inbuilt classes available, so you just have to use that class. That is the beauty of Bootstrap, and that's the reason why using Bootstrap easily you can develop the website. Even if you do not have a much programming background, still it is possible to design the website. And even nowadays, rather, it is possible without coding also you can do that. There are many frameworks available, but it is always essential to understand the coding aspect of that. So by using Bootstrap, you can develop the different sites, and in that you can have the different classes. Like you can have a container class, container fluid class, and so many things. So rather than telling you more about the theory, I will directly show you the practical thing of this. Okay, so I'll stop this presentation and I'll directly move on to the code. Okay, so I'm talking about the Bootstrap. Now here for your understanding, I'll close all this file now. Okay, so whenever you have to create, use the Bootstrap. Okay, so I'll first open. There are two things. One is called as a container and second is called as a container fluid. But before I explain that, let me give you a very simple example. So let's say I'm talking about the container. Okay, so what is that? So in order to use this, you will normal style your HTML, doc type HTML. You will provide your HTML tag as usual, and you will close your HTML tag. Okay, then within this you have a head section, and you have a body section. Now, as I said earlier, whenever you are using the head section, you can add many more things in that. That is, you can add the meta tag, so which is very important here when you are using it. So it will help you to adjust with the different device width. Then the you can use the link reference. So you have the different path or the through the CDN. So make sure that you will use this. I will copy this code, so it will be required for you when you will be developing it. So I'll put this entire thing in a cat box. So whatever file you will be creating, just add it in a that way. So you can copy this as it is. So here directly I'm using this content delivery network path. So this is the other way I'm using, or else if you want, you can download the Bootstrap and you can use it. Okay, so first thing is that in head section you copy that entire thing. Okay, and once it is done, what you can do, you can make use of the different tags here now. So now we have a body section, and we know that in the body section we can create a different type of tags, right? So here there is one tag called as a division tag. So we can use division tag, and to that division tag you can use different class. Now this is the way how we use Bootstrap classes. So you create a tag, let it be your division tag, let it be your table tag, let it be your unordered list, let it be your image, let it be your any tag. So what we have, we are using the bootstrap. So we just have to write class equal to, and then this container is a inbuilt class available in a bootstrap. So directly we are using that. The beauty of this class is that directly it will provide the styling as per the requirement. Okay, so now when I'm using the container class, let us see how the output would be there. So in this case, I'm just creating one division tag. This is my heading tag, and in this section, I am just writing some text. You can put any text here. Okay, now I will just execute this. Okay, so I was talking about the container. Okay, so my file is container demo. I'll just double click on this. Okay, now see here, as I am writing container class, and I just have added some text here. Okay, now if I change it to the container fluid class, what will happen? So now I'll just open the another one file. Instead of container, I'm using container fluid. Everything is same in this case, only this I'm changing. Earlier I was using container, and now I'm using container dash fluid. So you have to remember these classes. Okay, that is the main thing required here. Okay, so what is the difference actually between the container and container fluid, that you will understand when I execute it. Now let me this is another file, no? Container fluid. Okay, now see here, whenever you are using the container fluid, it will take that full width of the screen, whereas when you use container, it will take that fixed width. Okay, now once you know this thing, the next important thing which you have to understand about the different kind of thing. Let's say the table, we are talking about the table. Okay, so again, when I'm talking about the table, just now what we have created is the table without any styling. Okay, and using bootstrap, you can create the n number of tables. So for example, I'm using one div tag here. To this, I'm using the container. I'm just adding a simple example of the basic table. Okay, now to this table, I can provide the class. Now there are the different kind of class which I can provide to this. Okay, so this is my normal table tag, and within this I'm writing the first name, last name, email address. Okay, and then I'm just putting some values here. So if I use this using bootstrap, so what I'm doing here, I'm adding the class. So you can add multiple names here. So I am writing the table, then I have a table over, then I have a table border, and I have a table dark. Let us execute this and see what is the outcome. So if I execute this, now see here, this is the basic table which is created. This is the first name, last name, and email address. And if I move on this directly, you can get this effect. Now we have not written a single line of code here. Directly we are using the bootstrap, and we are using the bootstrap class here. And by using that, we can create the fancy tables here. So you can just change whatever content you have, so you can make use of this basic table. Apart from this, let's say I'll comment this thing, and I'll try to use the another the different way again. So I'll just comment out this part, and I'll try to uncomment the another one. Let us see what is the outcome here. So now it's here, I have created a strip table. If you remove this table dark, if you remove this table dark, actually you can just, you can remove this, so you can see how the table will look like. Now see here, as soon as I have changed it, you could see the table like this. So you can create some fancy tables by using this. So what you have to remember is, you have to remember that which classes you are going to use for this. Okay, so this is how you provide table. Then you can create the contextual table. Contextual table, I mean, you can provide the table in different ways. So you can specify for the table primary or this thing. Now let me run this thing, table contextual, so you will understand. Okay, now if you could see this contextual classes, so I can create this. So this is again table row. Within this I have this thing, and this is the default one. So I can specify here, suppose the department, I can specify the intake of the department. Okay, so if I want to specify the particular color to this and all this thing, so I can make use of the different kind of thing. So see here, this is the table which is created. I'm using the table class, and then to a particular row. Now if you could see, the first row was there and I want to specify this particular one, so I can use the table dash primary. Then if you want to specify the another one, you can use table dash success, you can specify table dash danger, you can specify table dash info, table dash warning. So there are different kind of classes available and you can use those classes. So these classes I'm telling you only from the perspective of what is required for the designing. Okay, then the another thing that is required is a navigation bar. When you talk about the website development, every website has a navigation bar. Okay, so you can create the different navigation bars. And how can you create that? You can directly create the navigation bar by using the nav tab, and to that you have to pass the class. Okay, so when I talk about the navigation, you can use the navbar class, you can use the corresponding background and the related stuff. Along with this, the most important advantage of the one which you learn about the unordered list and ordered list. So whenever you creating the navigation bar, you have to create make use of that UL. So you can have the unordered list, and within that you have a list items, and these list items are nothing but the menu options which you have here. Okay, I will just execute it, navigation bar demo. So you can practice it later on, I'll share this code. Okay, so I can create this different kind of navigation links here by using this. So different things can be done here. So this is how you create a navigation bar. Then next, what is required is a text color. Okay, so let us see. You may want to specify the different kind of text color. How can you specify? Again, everything is same here. What you will need is, see, these are the different classes available. So text mutate, text primary, text success, text info, text warning, text danger, text secondary, text dark, text body, text light, text white. These are the different classes available. And if you want some text to be displayed in a particular one, so you can use that. Now let me run this and show you also how it can be used. So you can, if I just double click, I can see that, see, this is the different way by which you can display the colors here. You can display the text color created here. Now the one written, the website which I have created here. Okay, so over here, this one. Now in this case, this is nothing but I have used that, I have used some H1 font here, and I have used the text color as a text danger. So I am directly able to get this thing. So you can, I'll show you how to develop this. So uh, you can, the intention of telling you is that you can use it here. Okay, up to this clear, students? So you may not parallelly practice it. So I'm just giving you the idea, then you can check out it. Is it okay, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now see, the what thing you have to remember is, whenever you are using Bootstrap, the Bootstrap has provided you a number of classes. Okay, so as I am showing in this snippets, so depending upon our requirement in the project, we have to use these classes. Okay, so whatever, now see, as whatever you could see here in this one, so the entire thing I have created, and I have used the Bootstrap for this. Okay, so you can use this. So I'll show you how the things are done and all that thing. Okay, so now I'll just close all the other tabs here, and okay, now apart from this, what else is required? So you understood how to use the container fluid. The another important thing that is required is the card. Card is a major thing that you take advantage in Bootstrap. Okay, so what is that card actually? So let me first run it, and then you will understand what is that. Um, okay, so if you want to create a basic card here, Okay, so how you can create a basic card? So it is just like the box. Now see here, if you directly display this basic card here, and if you display something in this particular box, it looks fancy, right? So you can make use of the card. Now when you are using card, you can use the different things here. So you can display the image. So here I have displayed the image of my the mobile application which I have created, and even this is available on the Play Store also. You can check that. So you can specify the image, you can specify the detail, and you can specify on click you can provide something also. Okay, so where is the real usage of this? For example, if you are developing some website, and let's say you want to display the team members, so you can have a photograph of a team member, some introduction of the team member, and then if you have a detailed link or that, so you can provide through that. Okay, so you can make use of the card, or if you want, you can put only the text and the button, or you can have only image. So totally depending upon your requirement, whatever you want, you can put it. Okay, so now this is the cart, how you can use. Apart from the cart, what is again important in using is the pagination. Very very important in the real time projects. So what is pagination actually? Suppose you are developing some e-commerce website and you have a lot of products available. Now you user, the client want to see all the different products, so what you do, you display it, right? But if you have suppose 5 products, you can display it, but assume that you have a 500 product. Then, and if you try to display it in a single page, it becomes irritating for user to scroll it much, right? So we use the pagination. So what is pagination? By using pagination, you can decide how many number of records you are displaying. Okay, so for that you can use this pagination. So you can have first page, second page, third page, last page, and previous page. Okay, so assume that you have 30 products, for example. So what you can do, first 10 product in first, second in second, third in this. So when I click on the one, 10 product would be displayed. If I click on 2, next 10 would be displayed. When I click on 3, next would be displayed. Okay, so here let it be there is n number of whatever number of products are there, you can do that pagination. Very 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 important case here. Okay, so, and now last but not the least, the form controls, very important again. So now we have created a form. Now that form doesn't look good. Why it doesn't look good? We have, because we have not provided any of the styling of that particular one. But using Bootstrap, it becomes very easy to create the fancy forms. Okay, I'll first run it and then I'll explain you the code. So if I just click on the form demo here. Okay, so see the form which is created here. This is the login form, this is the email ID, the password, or even you can create the inline form like this. And the entire styling is done by your Bootstrap for this. Let us consider the another example of form controls. Okay, so now see here the form which we have created, in which we have not provided any styling. Now here I just have used the classes of Bootstrap, and you see you can have this fancy thing created here. Okay, so you can have this section, you have the option, then you can use the radio button, you can have a drop down list, and so many things, and the button also. So you can create the fancy things with this. So this is the Bootstrap. So what we have seen, first I have explained you what is basic, how can you create the basic structure using HTML. Then we also have seen how we have used the Bootstrap, and now let us try to see how can we use combination of this to design the website. Up to this clear, students? Can I get a quick feedback in the chat box? Is it clear to you, students? Is it clear? Yes. Okay, good. So we have tried to see how to create a structure. We have tried to see how to style that. Now let us see how can you build your own website, your portfolio. So what I'll request everyone to have at least 4 to 5 images with you in order to use it in the project, or at least you can see how I'm doing. Then later on also you can practice. and those who want, you can parallelly work also. So first let me show you how I have what I have created. Okay, so here I have designed the basic website here. Okay, now in this website what I have here is portfolio. I forgot to change this title. I'll just change it in front of you only. Okay, first let me just change it. What is that? First was the, okay, 1 minute. I'll change this. Wait a minute. I'll just change that thing. Okay. First is the award side is. So whatever you have, you can specify. Sorry, I'll change it. We have awards. Then what else we have? Project. Sorry, I forgot to change that project. So I'll be accordingly. You can decide your this thing. Then the courses. So you can have a courses. Then what else you can have is the projects, and then you can have the workshop. I have added workshop conducted and contact us. Okay, so whatever is there, you can just add it, and if you execute this thing, see the options are changed here. Okay, so what you can do it. Okay, so now isn't it good? And this is developed simply by using HTML and Bootstrap, nothing else. Okay, now you know the structure, you know the Bootstrap. Let us try to understand how can you combine them. Okay, now for that what you can do is, okay, so I'll again put all these links in a chat box. You will need this. So enter head section only I'll put it, so that when you will perform, you can use it. Are you doing parallelly, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So see here, I have added this thing. So you can directly copy this and put in a head section. Okay. Now, first I'll tell you the structure, what you are going to create. So what you will do first is, okay. So as you could see here, first of all here, what I have created is a navigation bar. Okay. When I was explaining you the Bootstrap, I told you how to create the navigation bar. And when you are creating the navigation bar, which HTML tags you have to use, student? Can anyone tell me?
Nav.
Yeah, now, but in that, very good. Now you have to use, but in that I have added here this
Ordered
home.
list.
Sorry.
Unordered list.
Yes, exactly, unordered list. So here I have created a navigation bar, and within this navigation bar, in order to have the different things, okay, so in order to have this different thing, I am using this thing, project, courses, this one. Okay, so you can create these different things here. Okay, so now this is my navigation bar. Here some setting is changed actually. This is the carousel view, where you can have this different element, this slideshow you can have here. You can specify that. Then below that, what I have added here is just something called as a jumbotron. So jumbotron, I forgot to tell you actually. Jumbotron is again, if you want to put some text, and you want some a particular attention to be taken to that thing, so you can use something called as a jumbotron, which is again an inbuilt class available here. You can use that. So here I have added one background image, and to this I have background image. Here I have added one text. So this is by using h1, and as I said, in the text field, you can have these different colors to be used, so you can use that. And then you can make use of the view profile. You can make use of the view profile here. So here I have created again using Bootstrap. So if I click on this, you will be redirected to my profile of my official website. So I have added it to this where I can get this different thing. So I have added that. Then this second one. Okay. Can anyone tell me what is it? What probably I might have used for this? So I have told you the tags and I have told you the bootstrap classes also. So can anyone tell me what is it?
So container, like in a section, you might have put a container
Yes,
and then
exactly.
display it as a column
Exactly.
grid.
Yes. So what is there actually? I have created one division and I have created a cart in tag. Okay. And in that again, I have divided it. So the first way I'm putting my image. Now image also, as you could see, when you are developing the normal resume, we are not provided any styling to that. But here by using Bootstrap, you can provide the styling. So you can display it as a thumbnail, you can display it as a rounded corner, you can display it as a circle. And then here you can display the content. Whereas at this side also, you can put some text. So this is actually the cart I have used here. Okay. Then again you have a this thing. I have written about the consultancy project. This image I forgot to change. So Android application, web application, machine learning. Then about the courses. So if you have the different courses, you can have the different courses, and you can add the text. So as per your requirement, you can change it. Then I have added about the project. Now, can anyone tell me what is it again?
A table, right?
Exactly, it is a table. Now, as you could see, the table which we have created without any styling and the table which you are creating here. So there is a difference, right? So you can create some fancy tables here. Even if you want, you can provide some styling through this. Okay, so the table is created here, and again, this is the one. Again, in this, I have created some cart. In the cart, I have added the images there. The text is there, name of the workshop which I have conducted in different colleges, and name of the college where I have conducted it. I added the same image. I forgot to add the other images, but you can put all these different things here. Okay. And then finally the contact us. So you can create a form. So you can write the name, or you can write the phone number, you can have an email and this thing, and then you can have a button created here. So you can create a simple website wherein you can create this thing. Okay. Now let us understand how you can create it. But at least you got an idea, students.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now see, if you want, I'll be sharing this entire code with you. But let us go step by step, and in order to understand how the things will go ahead. Okay. So now what I'll be doing here. So as you could see, this is not the one which I have shown. This is the another file. So I'll first explain you what I have done. Okay, so this is the now by this time you can understand the code. So this is HTML5. I'm starting the HTML tag. This is my head section. In the head section, whatever files I have added in the chat box, all these files I have added here. And apart from this, one more file I have added here, that is my CSS, style.css. Okay. Now, whenever you are creating a project, always remember you create one folder. In the folder, you create the subfolders. Like as you could see here, I have created a separate folder for images. I have created separate folder for CSS. You have to create a separate folder for JS file. And even if you have something related to your database files, so you can have a separate thing related to that. You can have a separate folder for the includes, that is for the header and footer. For example, the header and footer is common in all the web pages, so you can put it in a single file and include wherever required. But here I am just considering the single page site. Then you can have a style.css created here, right? So whatever code I have added here in the chat box, so all that code is here. Okay. Now that you have created it, first thing what you have to do is you have to create the navigation bar. Okay. How can you create the navigation bar? Now in order to start the navigation bar, so this is what our navigation bar is. Okay. And you want to create this navigation bar. How can you create that? For this navigation bar, you have to use the tag as a nav, and then you can add some text to that, and you can again provide some styling to that. Let us see how you do it. So I have a body section created. Within the body section, in order to create the navigation bar, I will have to use the tag called as a nav tag. Okay, and to this navigation tag, I can provide the different classes which are available from this bootstrap. So I use navbar, I use this expand, I use the navigation bar dark, I can specify the background dark, I can use the fixed top. Fixed top is what? See, I'm moving the contents here, right? If I'm scrolling the content, whereas my navigation bar is not changing, it is not changing, so I want to stick it to the top, so I'm using the property this fixed top. Okay, then you can use the different kind of thing. Okay, so here portfolio, this is the one which you can see here, right? So this is the text which I have created, and when user click on this, you want redirect user to redirect to the same page of your index. Okay, so you can specify the part to that, and you can do this. Now here I have just created text. Normally you have a logo of the company and the company name, and then you have this different menu also available. So this is how, so you can create this. Okay, now that you have created, now you create the actual content of that is the items. So using your unordered list, so using this unordered list, as I said, you can use the navbar dash dash. Okay, then within that you have a list items. So on home again, you are redirecting to the same one, and then I have the navigation items. So first is about me, second is awards, third is a project, fourth is a courses, and fifth is a contact. So whatever number of option I want, I'll just use the list items here, and to that list item I'll have to provide the corresponding class. So I'll use the class as a nav items, and then corresponding to that, you have to remember one thing. Whenever you are designing a single page website, it is more important that when user click on that particular section, the user should be redirected to that. So what we'll have to do, in href you will have to specify about this id, and this id is nothing but the id which you will be using for creating a section. For example, for about me there is one section, for awards there is one section, for project there is one section, for courses there is one section. So you can do that related thing. Okay, so now that you have created the navigation bar, up to this clear, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what we have done till now, we have created a navigation bar. How do you create? What was the first
Now,
step? You include all, yes, all, first of all, in the head section, you include all the files which are required for bootstrap and related thing. So whatever code is there, you copy first that code. Then first we want to create the navigation bar. To create the navigation bar, first of all, I have used the tag as a nav tag, and within that now I want to create the different options. So I'll be using that unordered list, and in that whatever number of options I want, I will just add that. Okay, so now I'll just copy this much code only for you, and I'll just put it here. Okay, so you can create it, so you can check out for this different options here. Okay, so you have created a navigation bar, and in order to fix it to the top, you have to use the attribute. So once you have created it, what is the next thing you have to do? You have to check out about the different things which you want here now, right? So what is the next thing what I have done here is, next is I'm talking about my website here. So here I'm creating something. Okay, so here I have created something called as a jumbotron. What is jumbotron? So you can have a header section, and in that you can add it, or at some other places also. So I have added something called as a jumbotron, and to that I have added the background image. So this is the background image which is added to that, and in that I have written something. So let us see what is that. So what you could see here, this is the jumbotron. Actually what you could see this, no? So this is the jumbotron, and to this I have added a background image, and to this is a normal text now, as you could see here. So this is a header, we have a jumbotron created, this is the background image I have created, and then within that I have created the division tag, and see what is displayed is this. Okay, this is your normal h1 tag which you have learned in the first case. But now what I want this text to be displayed in uppercase, so I can use the class as a text dash uppercase. I want that text to be displayed as an suppose red color, so I can write it text dash danger. So this is a class name. If you want the other name to be given or other thing to be given, I can use suppose a primary suppose. So it would display in a blue color, and then it would specify the font weight. So now let us try to execute it. So it should change that font color now. 1 minute. Some mistake I did. Let's see. Maybe it is stored in the cache or something, so it's not changing. Actually it should change it accordingly. Okay, so you take this, you can specify it whatever is there. So I have used that text, so whatever is there you according to use it. Okay, then you specify this thing. Again this is the text written in the paragraph tag, and then I was doing that this one view profile. So what I can do, on click of view profile, wherever I want a user to move, so I can move user on that. So I have to specify this link here. Okay, and to this here I am creating this as a button view profile. Okay, and this view profile can have again the different kind of thing, different classes can be there. So I have used the btn as a class, and to this I want btn dash outline dash danger. So it would specify this as a only the border, but when I click it would show like this, and then when you user click on that you can move. So what you can do, you can create a jumbotron like this, set the background image, set your name, your this thing, and whatever profile you have, if you have created a cv or you have your social media handle, you can link to that. Clear up to this, students? Clear up to this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The next what you can do is about the sections, as I said. So when you are talking about the sections here, whenever you are designing the single page website, these sections are very important, because when you click on something, you are redirected to that particular section. Like as you could see here, if I'm this is in home, awards, projects. So when I'm clicking on project, I'm redirecting to this. When I click on this, when I click on contact, the user is redirected to this particular one. So sections are important. So you can add the section. So suppose I'm adding the section here as an about me section. I'm using the container. You can specify the ID here. Okay, then you can specify about this thing. Now when you are creating this, the what is the most important thing which you have to remember? You have to follow the grid structure. Grid structure means what? As you could see here, in case of the bootstrap, you can have a grid structure. We can have a total 12 columns, and these 12 columns can be divided. So what I have done here, I have divided, this is a basic cart I have used, and in that cart I have actually used the columns. So I have created one row here. This is not the table row, this is the row of the bootstrap, and here I have divided it with, like, these are the 4 columns and these are the 8 columns. So accordingly, in the first one, as you could see here, I have added the image. Okay, so image can be so this is the row you can create. So this is a div tag, and before that this is embedded within the cart. Okay, so as I said, it is a cart. So first I have created one division tag. To that you can create a cart. You can specify the background, you can specify the corresponding one. Then you will use a card body, and within that I create a row and a column. So where that first column is having the 4, so I am displaying the image. I am displaying the image here. So I have the source, I have the height, I have a width, and then I have used the bootstrap class as a rounded circle, and that's the reason why this image is displayed as in this format. Okay, and then other way I have added this. Similarly, I have a next code. So this is how you can use the cart. So you can use this again. Then the next section which I have created here. So my next section is of awards. So I can add that awards here. Next is a project. So here I have added the project. So in this section, you can add the different projects here. So I'll just move on this thing, the original file now. Okay, so this is the consultancy project. If I'm talking about, I have created one div here. So container, you can specify the text center, the respective attribute. You can type this thing, and then within this you can specify the different one. Okay, so here, as I said, you can have the what you can say, you can have the grid structure of 12 columns. So I have divided in 4 4, so 4 3 is 12. So first div with the 4 columns, second div with the 4th column, and third div with the 4 columns. Okay, and in each of that, so why actually I'm writing this call dash sm4, because even if I just move on this, it should be adjusted. For example, you could see here, if I'm adjusting it, see here. So even directly whatever your menus are there, now you could see this, and if I adjust this, automatically it would be added this way, and this is the thing that can be done here. Okay, so it is adjustable to your different site also. So now for that I have created this thing. Okay, so these are the 3 columns, and in each of the div I have added the reference and the name. Similarly, you can do that also. Okay, so this is how this section is created, this one. Okay, so this is the grid structure. If you want, even you can make use of a cart here, or you can use jumbotron, and in that you can add it as so whatever you want. So whatever projects you have done, you can add this. You can add the description also. Then whatever courses you have learned, you can do that. You can create another section here. Then regarding the project also, you can do this thing. And finally, suppose you want to create something again in the form of card, so you can specify the image, the text, the corresponding one, and finally the contact form. So I'll show the contact form, last one. So if you want to create the contact form again, so I'll just tell you that thing. So contact us. Okay, so now as I said, if you want to create a contact form, here we have a form type. You specify action, you use the method as we have done in the registration form. And when you're using this actually with the bootstrap, always make sure that you write a class as a form control. So use a form control as a class, and accordingly you can design it. So form control, so only thing you have to remember is you add this. And then since this is a button, lastly we can write the btn, and you can use the btn primary. So it would specify this particular color, and see, you can see the styling is provided here. So this is how actually you can build a different portfolio website. So coding part is there, but what the main thing you have to remember is what you want to design. That is the main thing. So for your purpose, you can do this thing. So you can have the navigation bar, you can have the information about yourself, about your project, the way I did, or else whatever information you want, you can display it. The only thing is that you have to remember where should I use what. That is important. Clear, students? Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So I will be sharing the code with you all, so you can practice, you can change it, and you can play with that code. You can change it, and you can have your different web pages created. Okay. So with this, from my side, I have done. So do you have any doubts, students?
Any questions from participants?
What is an easier way to make a responsive website? Will it be using CSS and adding media queries, or some
Yeah, that
frameworks only?
see, when you are using frameworks, no, it becomes very easy actually. So we prefer to use the frameworks, because same thing, see, whatever I have done here, same thing can be done from scratch. But to do that, you have to write a lot of code. But if you use some frameworks, it will save your time, and you can design your fancy screens. So always
Okay.
preferable to use the frameworks.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, and Bootstrap is a framework you can use to create your websites. Anything else? Students, have you all decided your project for the second year Java projects? Students? Have you all started with your project? Just if I could get 5 minutes, I can show you what kind of projects you can develop. Ma'am, can I have 5 minutes more?
Yes, ma'am, sure. Why not?
Okay, so student, do you want me to show what kind of projects you can develop? At least you can get an idea. I'm specifically talking about the Java projects now, not the web development related thing. Extra thing I'm telling you. 1 minute, I just. Actually, I conducted another workshop on Java, and in that I have shown that. So I just wanted to show to you, student, also. So I have conducted one workshop actually in that AIDS department. So see what kind of project you can develop. Uh, is it visible to you?
No, ma'am.
Ma'am, you have not
No?
shared your screen, I think.
Oh, sorry. 1 minute, I'll share the screen. Okay, so these are some projects developed by my students. So this is a mobile. See, this is a mobile application, COVID-19 status tracker. So you can. This is developed purely with this Java. So you can specify the confirmed cases, active cases. This was developed last year, so the count is different. But just telling you how can you develop it. You can check the statistic country wise. So you can select the state and accordingly you can specify. So you can, so these are the different screens designed in the mobile application, and you can get the stuff state wise, you can get the analytics. Apart from this, there is another one which, if you want to go very specific, so the mobile application you can develop. The another one is a corona tester. So whenever you are designing the projects, now always make sure that it is from the real usage point of view. So this is a corona checker application developed by my students. So you can have a screen wherein you get you check for the start test. This we are developed when we are in the initial stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. So that time we were really not knowing about much things. So we thought let us develop something which can help. So user can see the start test, and user can get the extra information. So if user can take on the extra information and get the statistics. And if you want to check for the test, you can click on the start test, and you can move to the test, and we ask you different questions. So have you recently traveled to an area with the local COVID-19 spread? So user will provide you the option of yes or no. Then the next question, have you come into close contact with someone who has a laboratory confirmation of COVID-19 diagnosis in last 15 days, 14 days? So these are the different questions which you can ask, and based on that you can recommend something. Okay, so this is again the mobile application which is developed, and finally based on whatever answer user is giving, you can simply create this thing. Okay, and it provide you are safe, or but still maintain it home quarantine. This is the kind of mobile application developed, and then the another one which is the last one is I'm showing you. This is the pure desktop application created, but this is again going to be very important. So this is the airline reservation system created. So you can check for the flight info here. User can click on this, so you can specify the details of the flight. This entire thing is developed using Java Spring, Java Swing. So this is the customer detail form. So you can have the customer details. You can check for the journey details. So you select. So now you could see these are the different controls which can be created, and accordingly you have a different options created here. Then the payment details, you can check for the PNR number, and accordingly this can be given. Then finally, regarding the cancellation form, you can design, you can do that stuff. And regarding the ticket, you can print the ticket. So you click on this and this thing. So this is the entire ticket, and user can just click on the print button, and you can click on print button. You can print that. So these are some of the projects which you can develop. The one thing I wanted to tell you students, whatever projects you are developing, let it be the software project or let it be the project being EXTC student, let it be you are developing some project using your IoT or your hardware based project, always make sure that whatever solutions you are creating, it has to solve the problem of the society. That is the most important thing. And always keep in mind the user. You have to keep in mind what is the user thinking, what is the user perspective, because ultimately what you are designing is going to help to the user. And unless and until whatever you develop, it is not used by someone, it is of no use. And let me tell you very clearly, when you develop something and it is used by the people, we are really happy. Yes, my the application which I have developed is used by other people. So when I see the farmers using my mobile application, I'm really feel very happy. Yes, the whatever I have developed, it is in use. Okay, so always keep in mind, let it be your second year project, let it be your third year project or your final year project, whatever you're developing has to be used by someone. And coding or whatever hardware part you will definitely do, but apart from that, what is more important is understanding the process. That is more important, and that is the reason why your design thinking comes in picture. So always you have to think from that perspective, talk to the client, find the problem, get iterate, ideate, and finally you give the solution, and you have to keep it iterative. Okay, so with this, I thank everyone for patient listening, and I hope whatever I have explained is helpful to you students. So thank you once again, Sushma ma'am, for inviting me for this session. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for a wonderful session.
So students, I hope this would be useful to you. So I'll put my mobile number in a chat box. If you have any problem, you can contact me. Okay, so if you are facing any issue in the coding or anything, you can I can help you with that, no problem. Okay, so thank you everyone. I'll stop presenting.
Wait a minute, ma'am. Everyone, please switch on the camera for photograph session, please. Students. I think we have taken, huh? One more we'll take.
Yes.
And please do not leave, because we have a feedback form you have to fill, and after filling you will get a certificate.
Students, do you really like it? Are you getting something out of this?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am, before photograph, we would like to give you a thank you speech for such a wonderful, for leading such a wonderful session for everyone. And we are really honored that you gave your precious time to us to lead this event. And also the way you presented, the way you gave us all the details related to web designing, as it is very important right now to have a proper knowledge and guidance related to it. So it was really helpful for we and all the participants who are present today. And we would also like to thank IIC and our college for allowing YE Council to help us to organize this wonderful event, because without them we won't be able to have such a wonderful event. And I would also like to thank Sushma ma'am, YE branch councillor, for supporting all the council members to manage and to be able to and also assist us to organize this event. Lastly, I would also like to thank all the participants for attending this event. This webinar was a success thanks to all the participants who have contributed and ma'am who has also given her best to explain all the related knowledge to us. Thank you so much, ma'am. It really was a wonderful session. Really
Thank you,
enjoyed.
students. So some the coding related file I'll be sharing with Sushma ma'am, so you all can practice to that.
Yes.
And whatever changes you want, you can do that, because in your projects definitely you will need that. So maybe you are doing some hardware project, but for that also sometimes you have to create some interface. So from the some button click you want to call something, so you will need this thing. So it would be helpful to you. I'll be sharing all this thing with you. Okay. So thank you once again. Thank you everyone.
Thank you,
Participants
ma'am.
all are please requested to switch on your cameras for just a quick photo.
I have taken Sadia.
Okay, ma'am. Sure.
Uh,
And the feedback link is
feedback.
given in the chat box. Please fill it for certification. Get your e-certificate.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Kavita, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll take your leave. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll call you.
Okay.
Please fill the feedback form, students.
Ma'am, can we leave the meet once we have filled the
Yes. If you fill the feedback form, you can leave.
form? Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Wait, Arpita. Wait.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Rishabh, done filling the form?
Just a minute, ma'am.
Okay.
Done, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Rishabh.
Thank you, ma'am.